except I don't think that's right, so let me... Please? Okay. Darn it! Okay, well... We're gonna just... play by ear, I suppose? And if there is anyone who's actually getting this, can chat, because I'm viewing the chat on mobile and that doesn't always work for me. Okay. Okay, let me mute this. Alright, awesome. Wait, I should make sure I'm... Am I talking in the video? That's a lot of lag. Okay, so you guys are way behind me. For the record. So... let's just do long pauses between decisions and hopefully everything will be fine. Into it then. And I'm really sorry for the honestly terrible lag, but aloha! My name is Lorelai, but you can call me Lori, and I am alive! And as a sort of welcome back, and because if you check the description, my computer likes to blue screen, I'm gonna just live stream this on YouTube, deal with what happens if I do blue screen. So, we are going to be playing Screen Australia. No narration, I can handle that, probably. Thanks. To be or not to be a Choose-Your-Own-Adventure book that they turned into a video game. Always fun. And the stream is still way behind. In fact, it might be frozen. It's not. Okay. So, I'm gonna stop talking about how far ahead I am from the stream and just start actually doing this. So, Choose Your Own Adventure book. I'll do the introduction, then I'll explain how I'm gonna be doing it for this. So, introduction. William Shakespeare, 15th to whenever he died, was well known for borrowing from existing literature when writing his plays. Romeo and Juliet is pretty much lifted entirely from Arthur Brooks' tragical history of Romeus and Juliet. Dude didn't even change the names. And as recent Shakespeare scholarship has established, the famed play presents Hamlet was lifted wholesale from the volume you are about to enjoy, To Be or Not to Be. To Be or Not to Be is both the earliest recorded example of books as games genre, as well as the first instance in the then newish English language that was kicking around of an adventure being chosen by you, the reader. We've gone ahead and added actions, plus we've taken the liberty of marking with tiny Yorick skulls the choices Shakespeare himself made when he plagiarized this book back in olden times. They look like... Take notes, because that is how we're gonna start things off. No decisions at the beginning, just picking which to establish what happened in the play. Which is maybe not the most exciting thing we could do, but it's a good start. Go there in case you wish to put yourself in Shakespeare's shoes, reading this book as he did, stealing plot elements wholesale, and classing up the language as he/you went/go. However, this is not the only way to read this book. Feel free to explore your other options, as each time you read this book, you can go on a different adventure. Assuming you don't read 3,1,1,439,439,094,525 times, at which will start to repeat, and they'll probably seem pretty familiar long before then anyway. Now, take yourself back to history, when ghosts walked the earth and velociraptors were ever even a thing. Steel yourself to experience the magic of Shakespeare as it was meant to be experienced. In a non-deterministic narrative structure, thinking maybe you made the wrong decision. So you can mark the pages you were just on, so you can always go back and make a different choice if you have reason. To be or not to be, that is the adventure. Ryan North, noted Shakespeare scholar / enthusiast. I don't know him. Okay, so we're just gonna go straight through all the things with skulls by them. If they're one with skulls beside them, we're gonna go top to bottom, because that means it's gonna repeat that option. And I'm a little tired, so excuse the yawning. So, choose your character. You have just been born. Congratulations, good work on that thing. Now, surprise, baby, so we're going to jump ahead in time to a point where you're an adult and have already lived a bunch of your life. But I promise most of what we're skipping over was really dull. And slept a lot and made some friends, tears were shed, makeouts were totally had, etc. It was a bunch of high school stuff. The awesome stuff started. So, let's begin, my friend. Remind me, who are you again? It reminds me of having to Yoke's grandson while talking to him. Are you Ophelia? Wait, Professor Oak's grandson, not... Okay, I'm here for that. Ophelia? She's an awesome lady in her late 20s with a calm, competent, and resourceful demeanor. She's got a +1 bonus to science, but she's also got a -1 weakness against water, so heads up. Hamlet? He's an emo teen in his early... Also, he's the Prince of Denmark. Hamlet has a +1 resistance to say, "You're not my real dad," and storm out of the room. The skull compels me. We're gonna have a sweet one-liner. He straight up ignores your zinger. Well, shoot. King Claudius goes on to, in so many words, to buck up, stop dressing in black, stick around for a while, and have a little fun. He says all the feelings you're having are boring and wimpy. Your mom echoes his sentiments. Dude, your own mom just called you a wimp. You agree to stick around in Denmark for a while. They leave, and you're suddenly alone. You're finally alone, Hamlet. What are you gonna do? Talk to yourself about how your life is in ruins and how everything just sucks? Or stand around something happens? Wake up, Lori. Let's do what we're supposed to talk to ourselves. Okay, you talk out loud to the empty room. And what do you say? I'll tell you what you say. You say you wish your skin could lift off your body, revealing a skeleton that gives a double thumbs down before crumbling into dust. You say that you thought your mom really loved your dad, but now that she's married Claudius less than a month's death, either love itself is fake, or she was faking love, and either way, it doesn't matter because you've lost faith in your own mother. You say to the empty seriousness that you want to kill yourself. Whoa, bro, this book just got real. Kill yourself or don't kill yourself. But end the book pretty quick even if we were choosing our own options, so let's maybe not. Also, not condone suicide while we're at it. While you're busy doing that, your friend Horatio bumps into you and tells you, A, he's been in town for your father's funeral / mom's wedding, and they served leftover appetizers from one. Ghosts are real. He's seen one, and so have a bunch of other guys. It keeps showing up at the same time, and he's pretty sure it's the ghost of your dad, which I gotta say pretty quick. 1 second, check the stream and... Oh, would you look at that? It's just buffering, stuck on the character creation. Not surprised I'm the only one here. Well, I'm just gonna keep going and hope that'll foul. Finally, some adventure, some closure. You agree that you'll come with him tonight to see the ghost when it shows up again. It's such an obvious that it kind of feels like you don't have a choice in the matter. What do? Agree to go with Horatio tonight to see the ghost when it shows up again? And you literally in the matter. I'll be there, 11:30 sharp, you say, and Horatio leaves, satisfied. Well, now you have 8 hours to blow before it's... What do you want to do, Hamlet? Stop yawning. Be Ophelia for a while, or play solitaire? I'm gonna try close opening it again. I don't know if that'll do me any good, but... Oh, would you look at that? Progress. Okay. Be Ophelia for a while, or play solitaire? I'm gonna be Ophelia for a while, because that's what I'm supposed to do. Ophelia, you are a beautiful and independent young woman, and although it makes you roll your eyes when you think about it, you've fallen in love with a prince. And it's, well, Prince Hamlet is funny and charming, and he seems to like you a lot. You try not to get too excited about it, because you're worried you might jinx it, but things are really going great. Only it's been hard doing the long-distance thing while you've both been off at university. And while you've loved studying capital S, and you're sure Hamlet's loved studying capital U undeclared, it hasn't been easy. Now that you're both back together in Denmark for his father's funeral and his mother's second wedding, it's been harder still. Hamlet's really, don't blame him for that since, you know, his dad died, but you wish there was something you could do to help him. It's slowly but steadily now. It's way behind us though. When you last saw him, Hamlet mentioned how the castle seemed cold and drafty, and for some reason it stuck with you. You've been sitting at your desk, trying to think of something you could give him that would help with that. Stop yawning, please. It's gonna put the 0 people watching to sleep as well, and then where'll I be? You've been sitting at your desk trying to think of something you could give him that would help with that. A way of cheering him up a little. Remind him he's still got people who care about him. You can knit him a sweater, but more of the sciencey type than the crafty type. He wears these cloaks all the time, and then he's taking them off in warm rooms and putting them back on in cold ones. Well, there goes the sweater idea. That would be even more difficult than a cloak. If only there was some way you could keep the rooms at a uniform temperature, constantly adjusting his clothes throughout the day. But to do that, you need some sort of way of measuring heat and a way of transporting it throughout the castle. Perhaps pipes. Your thoughts interrupted by a knock at the door. Is Ophelia? Well, of course, it doesn't happen in the play, so we won't get to see it. But I think we're gonna have Ophelia invent air conditioning and, like, heating. Who is it? You call. It's me, says your brother. Come on, let me in. Do we let him in, or tell him you're busy? If it were real life, I would be like, I'm busy, leave me alone, but we gotta do what Shakes, because we're establishing the original plot. You open the door for your brother. You can come in, you say. But I don't want to hear any opinions about my personal life. You say you're a slut. Ooh, PG-13. Do we slam the door in his face? Yes, obviously. Or invite him to enter your room. Hey, Yorick Skull. Okay. You let him into your room. He sits down on the bed and pats the empty space beside him, to remain standing. Listen, he says. I know you like Hamlet, but he's a prince, so he's going to have to marry someone of his own rank. Who said anything bridge? You reply. I'm happy with Hamlet, and he's happy with me. We're having fun. Nobody's talking about marriage. That's another thing, he says. If you have sex before marriage, then you'll be ruined for other men, and nobody will ever want you. This is getting too real, guys. This is like sex education going on here. He's only dating you because he wants sex. Don't sex him. Great grandma. I'm your brother, and I'm telling you not to. Obviously, we should throw him out of our room and slam the door in his face. But because Shakespeare picked it, we're gonna sim for some reason and tell him that he makes a lot of sense somehow, and we'll totally do what he says. Yay. Really? I'm with you, man. Okay. You sit down on the bed and tell him you'll do as he says, and that you sincerely appreciate his meddling in your personal. And then you go on to say that if you're going to abstain from sex before marriage, then he should be careful too. I gotta stop yawning, or it'll never end. Because he sleeps around way more than you do, and it's going to be one heck of a sexual double standard if you're damaged goods and he's totally fine. That's right, I didn't even give you a choice about it because you keep choosing the stupid options. Guess you're just gonna have to deal with it, huh? In any case, there's a knock on your door, and before you can answer, your father, Polonius, which is like such a cartoon parent thing to do, you know? Normally when you knock, you wait for someone to let you in, Dad, you say. You're an idiot if you think Hamlet loves you, he says, and then he notices Laertes in your room, too. Oh, hey, Laertes, have fun on your trip. To thine own self be true. Odds. I already told her she's slutty, he says. Jeez. Should we do the thing we should do and kick them both out in faces? Or the thing we're supposed to do, which is, I guess, smile and nod and pat the empty spot on the bed beside you and Laertes, inviting Polonius to sit down too? Because that is something, and that's what we're doing, because skull. Polonius sits down on the bed beside you. So, you guys were talking about, he asks. Your brother nods, and Polonius turns to face you. Hamlet only likes you because you're smoking hot, he says. You're an idiot if you believe it great and wonderful and a special person, and he'll say anything to get in your pants. He said that you're a wonderful person, right? You agree that he has said and written some very about you, and this means a lot to you. That proves it. Listen, you're too... please. Listen, you're too dumb to understand what I'm saying, so I'm just going to order you to do the following. Stop seeing him, never speak to him again, and put all thoughts of him out of your head. Because that's not even slightly messed up. If there are any parents watching, which I don't think there are, but if never say or do anything like this, obviously. Should we do the obvious thing, slap him across the face and tell him you're not dumb and you can recognize sincere emotion in a sexual partner when you see it, or do the stupid thing, which is tell him you'll obey and then call and follow him meekly out of the room? Agree with everything he and Laertes have said, because all that stuff I wrote earlier about you being an independent woman in charge of her own destiny sounds pretty dumb, actually. You better do whatever someone else tells you to, because anyone other than you probably knows better about your own life than you do, right? Look, I am now trying the dumbest thing you can do. Please, I beg you, do not choose this option. Unfortunately, there's a little skull by it, so we're choosing it. Okay, you do all that stuff. Listen, I'm gonna cut our losses here. You're not allowed to be Ophelia. Wherefore, be Hamlet, because that's our only option. You, Hamlet, Prince of all of Denmark, are now sitting in your solitaire for hours and hours and hours and hours. Which is a pretty colossally useless waste of your time, especially since you keep cheating. Guilty. 5 goes on top of a 3, Hamlet? Really? Okay, maybe not that specific thing. Anyway, at this point, we're 15 games in, and wow, if people might start saying that your tragic flaw is, I don't know, inaction? It is, though. Eventually, the sun goes, it's almost 11:30, which hopefully you remember as the appointed hour Horatio told you about, wherein a ghost keeps showing up to bother him. Time to ghost, huh? Meet up with Horatio and bust some ghosts. Bust some myths about actual ghosts being real. Mythbusters now. You and Horatio go to where he saw the ghost the first time. Now we play the waiting game, says Horatio. Best character. He's interrupted by the sound of trumpets and raise an eyebrow. They make that noise to warn everyone that King Claudius is getting wasted, he says. Those trumpets go off every night around this time. He sighs. Denmark, he says. At that exact moment, something insanely crazy happens. What the frig? Tell you what the frig, a ghost is. Look, ghost! Don't freak out, but right now you're staring cold in the face of a specter. You can't even imagine how crazy this whole situation is. If you're getting too scared, read this next clause over and over until you're not insane with fear anymore. Everything okay. I'm gonna pause for a few seconds so that you can read that as many times as you need. Okay, this is boring. Let's continue. Okay, we can do this. With your last shred of sanity, you quickly glance at the ghost. And then you worry that if you stare at the ghost too hard, your brain will realize it's so insanely impossible that you'll just black out. Anyway, this ghost. You can see through it, but only a little? It's weird. And frig else, this ghost does look like your dad, and he's getting closer. What now? Stare at the ghost intently and black out his own? Don't stare at the ghost too intently and try to figure out what it wants, or run away. Well, actually, this is probably the option that I would pick either way. Luckily, the stupidest thing on here. Are you my dad? My ghost dad? You ask the ghost, but it says nothing. The ghost beckons to you. He clearly wants you to follow him and leave Horatio behind. I don't know. Is this safe? Can ghosts kill people? Which reminds me of a joke that ghosts don't kill people because if they kill someone and they turn into a ghost, that would be pretty awkward. And now I can't help but wonder if that would apply to this story at all. I've played it a few times, but I haven't really gone into a lot of the story options. So that's a factor. But it's something to think about. Can ghosts kill people? You ask Horatio. I don't know, man, but I really don't think you should be alone with that, clearly leaving no ball untripped in his own freakout. Hamlet, man, something is rotten in the state of Denmark, I gotta say, he yells, his quivering finger pointing at the ghost. I'm gonna do it, you say, and you, wherefore, follow the ghost into darkness? Or go on to say, by that time his last chance to run for it, or follow this ghost, as Shakespeare told us to. You follow the ghost into the mist. For what seems like forever, you get tired of walking. I'm tired of walking, you say. You sit down. Pretty sure I'm done walking. Yeah, I'm out. The ghost speaks to you for the first time, its voice issuing forth from lungs that no longer breathe air. Hamlet, it is I, your father. Look, I care forever, so you need to listen to what I tell you. I didn't die of old age. I did some digging around, and it turns out I was murdered. By Claudius. You gasp, shocked and enraged. Killed by his own brother. That's gotta break like a lot of laws. Just general taboo. He did it while I slept. I was walking in a garden, and you know how gardens are really boring, right? They're boring even for people who like them. Exactly, says Ghost Dad. Well, it was so boring I fell asleep, and while I was sleeping, he poured in my ear. I didn't know poisons worked that way, you say. That's what I said, shouts your dad, throwing his hands above his head in frustration. It's back and forth. Anyway, I want you to take revenge on him for me. I don't know, cuss him out or something. Pull out his chair when he's about to sit down. Offer him, but then when he goes to high-five you, pull your hand away and say too slow. Or should he offer you a high-five, you must leave him hanging. Some serious revenge plotting going on there. Totally. I could murder him, you offer. After all, with Mom. Your dad stops pacing and stares at you. He's what? So do we tell him they got married 2 weeks ago, or tell him, haha, you were just kidding? I love how breaking it to him gently is just not an option. Well, it's kind of a hard thing to break to someone gently. So let's tell them they got married 2 weeks after the funeral. You say they got married basically right after the funeral, and that makes Claudius king now. Maybe it's not technically incense, but the timing alone sure feels squicky. Did I say incense? I definitely meant incest. Okay. Didn't he ever read the table of kindred and affinity, wherein whosoever are related are forbidden in scripture and our laws to marry together? Your dad? Ah, you say. You refer to the document Queen Elizabeth ordered produced, which says a marriage such as this one we're discussing is not just squicky, but a coarse sin against God, a book which later made its way into the Book of Common Prayer, itself so influential that we take many phrases such as at us part and peace in our time from it? The very same, nods your father, although I can imagine that in the future sentiments might change. As to whether or not such a marriage between related, loving, and consenting adults is among the very worst things it is possible for a human being to do, that's not necessary for us to discuss right now. Agree. Anyway, says your dad, kill Claudius for me. Cool? Do we promise a ghost will commit murder, or promise a ghost will commit classiest verse we can come up with? Well, obviously, we're gonna take the classy route. You clear your throat, hold one in the air in front of you, and promise a ghost that you will kill an alive human. This is what you say. Forgive me for pronunciation. Yea, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past, observation copied there, and thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, by heaven. Your ghost dad seems pretty cool with that. You have begun quest to kill Claudius. 3,500 experience points. That's a lot. So here's our new quest, apparently. Also, keep in mind that this quest was in the original print book. What do? Leave it there and return to Horatio? Or throw in a little sexism for good? Ah, damn it, Shakespeare. Pernicious? Almost pernicious. I'm gonna go with that. I don't know if it's right. You add insulting not only Queen Gertrude, the woman your father adored, loved, and married, but in general. Yay! Science corner. Synonyms for pernicious. I'm going with that. Includes and pestilent, and the word itself suggests that long-term harm comes from being in contact with whatever it's being used to describe. Stay classy, Hamlet. Leave it there and return to Horatio. If I had known that was optional, I would have skipped it. But then it wouldn't have been faithful to the original blah blah. Who cares? It was painful to see. You walk back to where Horatio is waiting for you. Listen, never speak of this whole we totally saw a ghost thing, okay? We've got to keep it a secret. That's cool, says Horatio. No, I'm serious, grabbing his shoulders. Some really serious stuff is going to go down, and I need you to keep this a secret. Swear that you'll never talk about this, says Horatio. Swear it, booms your dad's voice out of nowhere. He already did, you shout. Horatio looks at you, questioning. Hamlet, bro, all about, he says. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, you begin, than are dreamt of in my philosophy, Horatio finishes. Fine, right, whatever. Okay, Horatio will keep your secret, and you've got a quest from a ghost to fulfill. And at the end, he'll probably give you some cooling it. Maybe? I mean, it's possible. Anyway, it's past midnight, and Claudius is probably falling down drunk. What now? Take the obviously correct course of action and go and say goodbye to... darn it. Gotta keep it together. And say goodbye to Horatio and go kill Claudius? Or do the thing the fatal flaw of inaction would do and go home for nappy times? Let's go take a nap. You go home and nap. The next morning it rains, so you don't leave your room. Because your room is an outhouse, apparently. The next morning, after, the ground is all muddy, and you think maybe you'd leave footprints that could be traced back to you. And anyway, long story short, several days have gone by and you haven't done a thing. Adieu. To continue doing nothing for another several days, return to the top of this page and read it again. Well, enough's enough. Time to go murder Claudius. Or go see Ophelia. She's smart. Maybe she has some ideas on how to commit some good murders. Well, Shakespeare this, so we're just gonna blaze through it real quick. Great, let's go see Ophelia. There's a squirrel right outside. And I had a very the dog from Up moment. Doug? I had a very Doug moment. Where I was like, squirrel! But it's gone now. You go down to Ophelia's place and knock on her door. Who is it? She calls. It's me, sweetie, you say, opening the door and stepping into her room. You for a while. It's so great to see her. You run up and throw your arms around her and you kiss. It's just like old times. You hold her at arm's length and look into her. Listen, you say, and then you go murder Claudius. Go on to say, I need your help with something. Unbutton your jacket, take your garters off, and grab Ophelia by the wrist. Like, obviously the weirdest thing to do in this situation. So that's what we're doing. Oh, you do that. Ophelia looks confused during this whole production, because it's weird. What's wrong, Hamlet? She says, concerned. Why are you fouling your stockings? What now? Tell her you don't know why you're doing that, and ask her to help with murdering your uncle. You know what? This is not going as well as I'd hoped. Tell Ophelia you don't know why you're wasting your time either. Excuse yourself and go murder Claudius, or continue and move your other hand to your forehead as if you might faint, while staring at her intensely. So be as dramatic as pointlessly as pointlessly. These are some stellar choices you're making here, champ. Okay, you do the crazy. Ophelia keeps staring at you in confusion. Finally, you sigh, as big as you can, 3 times in a row. What do these sighs mean? Ophelia doesn't know, and neither do you. It's like you think you've saved your game earlier, so now you can just do stupid stuff without consequences. But you can't real life, silly, so now you gotta live with the consequences of these choices. And here's one of the consequences. Ophelia's love for you has taken 15 damage. Lucky for you, she still loves you a whole heck of a lot. Eventually, you run out of sighs and get up and leave. But rather than walking out of the room like a regular person, you lock eyes with her and walk out of the room without breaking around the corner without ever breaking that eye contact. You're walking to a wall. You know what? I think you've made enough choices for a while. Move over, I'm driving. You decide to go see what Claudius is up. So you walk in on your mom and fake dad as they're trying to run the country, but it turns out they were talking about you anyway. Polonius is there too. That right now. Ooh, talking to the ghost. Man, I wish I was at the same point, and I don't know why it's so far behind. Is anybody real time, or is it behind like this for everyone? Maybe my internet's just super bad. Clearly, with all the buffering. Ooh, like you're touched in the head. Hey, he thinks you're crazy. Maybe that's because of all the dumb decisions you've been making? So in an effort to save this, we're going to assume that you're tending to be crazy, because that way all of this kind of makes sense and nobody would ever suspect a crazy person of committing murder, right? This is literally the best option. This is what you've reduced us to. I've gone back and rewritten the story so that in your talk with Horatio, now you say, I might act crazy for a while, just be cool. I can check it's totally there. Okay, so it turns out Polonius considers himself a master, riddle master, and he's going to ask you 3 riddles to determine or not. Riddle the first. Do you know who I am? He says. Since you're just acting crazy, this gets a little easier. Normally I'd give you a choice between a reasonable answer, but I figure now you just want to pick the reasonable one just to screw things up, and I swear to God, there will be a method to your madness if it kills me. So, here are your options. Say, I don't know who you are. Maybe you're a pimp? I know you're to say, yeah, you're Polonius here, but you know what? I like being in charge. Say, I don't know who you are. Maybe a pimp? Or go back and check to see if I rewrote the story. Tempting as that last one is, we're gonna pick option number 2. You tell Polonius that you don't actually know who he is, but maybe he's a pimp. He doesn't that you are, or rather that I am, rather cleverly trying to suggest that you suspect he's been trying to mess with Ophelia in order to get to you. It goes entirely over his head. Anyway, he seems satisfied with your answer, which is great. Polonius puts to you his riddle the second. What have you been reading lately, he says. I will answer with the exact words that the author wants me to. That's right, fall in line, baby. You haven't touched a came home from university on funeral/wedding break, so answer by making up a book. So you answer by making up a book you've been reading called Old Men Are Gross and Dumb. It's about how old men are gross and dumb. You conclude by saying that Polonius would be the same age as you if people aged backwards. Oh snap! This agrees that this is probably the case. Finally, he challenges you with the final of his 3 riddles. Would you like to go for a walk, guide? You sure would! You say you'd like to go to a walk. You'd say you'd like to go walk outside straight into your grave. It's that last bit of crazy that really sells it. Somehow Polonius thinks you're actually saying something really significant about how we're all really dying from the moment we're born. He hopes you're actually speaking the truth. Hey, your answers seem to have helped him reach the conclusion we wanted in regards to your sanity. Polonius says he'd better be going, and if nothing would make you happier except if you somehow literally died right now. And then you motorboat your lips and flick your index finger over them to make a and I totally didn't just do that in real life. Nuh-uh, can't prove it. Yep, he definitely thinks you're crazy. So I hope you're happy. I fixed this as best ever. We're just fake crazy now, okay? Okay, you can drive again. As Polonius leaves, your friends Rosencrantz and Gilden. What? You thought these guys were still back at university. This is awesome. Wherefore, greet your friends with high fives, greet your friends by slapping them, greet your friends with hugs all around, or let's not get carried away. Just walk up, say hi, and ask them how it's going. I would probably normally actually greet my friends with, if I hadn't seen them in like a month-ish, but let's just go with obviously the Shakespeare answer. Hey, what's up? How have you been, gentlemen, you say? I've been okay, except for, you know, the nightmares. Anyway, what brings you here? They look at each other. What do you mean, what brings us here? Why don't we instead talk about your, plans and motivations, Rosencrantz says, totally not suspiciously. Your face falls. And you knew it. Claudius sent for them. They're here to spy on you. Ah, really? Come on, guys. Were you sent here to spy on me, you say? Yeah, Rosencrantz replies, kinda. Freak, man, I knew it, you say. Look, I'll make it easy on you. I know I've been all emo lately and mopey, and you have the words for it yet. I'm pretty sure I'm what you'd call clinically depressed. That's all. You sigh, and then look at them with a small smile. I guess I'm quite the piece of work, huh? You say. Would you care to explain that in more detail? Rosencrantz says. You reply, as a matter of fact, I would. Or, no, I'm clinically depressed. Let's go with number 1. You are inspired. You clear your throat and hold out one hand in front of you. You look Rosencrantz and Guildenstern one after the other. So clearly, it's going to be another speech straight from the play. Or, I mean, that Shakespeare lifted straight from this to put in the play. What happened? What a piece of work is a man, you say, choosing your words and punctuation carefully. How noble in reason, in faculty, in form, and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, how like a god. Your friends nod. Are pretty great. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals, and yet, to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights not me. You break off as Guildenstern interrupts you. Okay, he says. Man delights not me, idiot, you say. Nor woman neither. Though you seem to think, this time you're interrupted by Rosencrantz. Asexual, says. You look at your friends. Anyway, whatever, I've been depressed, but it's great to see you guys. Homophobia and asexualophobia. Oh hey, says Guildenstern, suddenly remembering something. We met an author on the boat over. We invited her to come say hi. An author? This is really exciting. And who should walk through the door just as Guildenstern stops talking? Why, it's the very author they just mentioned. How perfect. Having her show up now keeps this narrative moving forward and avoids any awkward downtime where you'd otherwise just sit around in a circle waiting for someone to show up and talk to you. Huh. Nicely done, narrator of the story, aka talk to the author. The author of the journals. Never mind. The three of you get to talking, and she's really great. It turns out she's Christina Marlowe, the author of The Murder of Gonzago, a adventure is being chosen by you story. And you murder your brother Gonzago, and then, playing as your dead brother's son, murder your usurping uncle? I sure hope so. Choose from over 300 different possible endings. So this is the play within the play, the Choose-Your-Own-Adventure book within the Choose-Your-Own-Adventure book. It's one of your favorite books, and you tell her so, excitedly asking questions about characters and motivation, and how she did that thing with the choices. Well, the Fornius walks into the room and tries to work his way into the conversation, but whatever, nobody here likes him. Christina doesn't make any attempt to include him, and that makes you love her even more. Favorite passage to her. It's the bit from the back cover, and she takes over when you forget some of the words. It goes like this. You're still really mad that your dad was killed by his brother. You'd murder him for revenge, and that, my friend, is a really good idea. Do you decide to wait to murder him? No, shout you, Rosencrantz and Gilden. Christina smiles. Polonius mutters, this is boring, but nobody cares. Excellent, then you sneak into his room at night and stab him in the neck. A huge fountain of blood neck, under such pressure that it bursts through the ceiling and forms a glorious red geyser above the roof. Some kid walking by sees the geyser and says, whoa! He's saying the O part of whoa! Blood lands in his open mouth. It's so awesome, you have earned 1,000 points, and the whoa kid also earned 50 points. Laugh and cheer and applaud, while Christina smiles politely, and Polonius stands around with his arms crossed. Whatever, I want to wait before killing him, he grumbles. Christina recited heartfelt emotion that you actually feel pretty bad about not murdering your own uncle yet. Wow. Wait a minute. Wherefore, go murder your uncle, or, instead of murdering your uncle, go grab your copy of the book. Then you can get it signed, and then you can see if you can get Claudia, and if he chooses the murder your brother path, and then if he looks guilty, you'll know he did it, even though the ghost already investigated and told you he did. Obviously, that's the same solution. Okay, but one thing at a time, buddy. First, you go back to your room and get your copy of the book for Christina to sign, which she does. To Hamlet, best wishes. I hope you like to read these words that I wrote on a piece of paper. Cheers, Christina. Amazing. It's perfect. And now you've got the perfect book to entrap your uncle. You excuse yourself and go back to your room to flip through Gonzaga. You get absorbed in the adventure, and a few playthroughs later, you're convinced. It really is a great book and should work perfectly for your plan. Now all you need to do is find Claude. I'm pretty sure he's in the royal court, dude. What do? Go to the royal court or nap for a while? For once, we're not choosing the stupid option. You go to the royal court and it's deserted? Practically, anyway. It kind of looks like maybe Ophelia is there in the corner reading a book, but please, it's not like you have time to make sense. Well, this sucks. You had this perfect plan ready, but if Claudius isn't around, then he can't read the book, and the whole thing is useless and stupid and you hate it. You feel inspection coming on. Yes. Oh man, this is gonna be a good one. It's gonna all boil down to this. Is it even worth living in a world where things don't always go your way? Or to put it differently, being alive is good, or maybe being dead is good. To put it a third, more copulatastic. Okay, way, to be or not to be. Man, this is the big one, Hamlet. This is the speech it's named after. Guess you better talk it out, huh? Choose wisely. You clear your throat and raise one hand in front of you. To be or not to be. This is what you say to nobody in particular. To be or not to be, question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end, the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation to be wished, to die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dream, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. Man, nicely done, Hamlet. Not nicely done, Laurie, though. I didn't pronounce fortune correctly, and that's a difficult one to mess up. Hey, wait a minute. Ophelia's here. You say hi to Ophelia, but she's acting all upset, trying to give back the presents and all the love letters you sent her over your relationship. Weird. It looks like you're not marriage material after all. To be fair, you did just finish talking out loud about killing yourself. Huh. And though I know you're now looking for the whatever man, she's just doing this because chicks are crazy option, Hamlet, you are nothing if not classy. I'm not going to give it to you. Listen, I'm going to help you out. Ophelia's crazy, but maybe she's just acting crazy. And considering the possibility, you think to yourself that Ophelia doesn't have any real reason for being as upset as she appears to be. Sure, you've kind of ignored her for a few weeks, which was selfish and jerky. But this isn't the first time you've been caught up in something, and you're sure she can handle it as she has before, with understanding, and not by, abandoning the relationship entirely in some stupid castle. So maybe it's entirely possible that she's being fake crazy too. Maybe. Maybe because she figured things out, and also wants to murder Claudius. To see if she's faking crazy, while you are simultaneously also faking crazy. Without revealing to anyone who may or may not be listening in that you're just faking the crazy. Is there a code phrase or something you can use? Say, stalks the quiet evening prey. Say, I never loved you. Or say, hip hop, hip hop. Okay, first option. What? She says furious. I don't think those were the secret code words, bro. You say. Maybe get thee to a nunnery? Go with a hip, a hop, a hippie to the hip hop. Go with the wolf stalking prey. Okay, we're going with option 1. You tell her to get to a nunnery because if she has sex, her kids will be awful because everyone is awful, and man, if you'd be the awfulest person ever. Also, only a fool would marry her because anyone smart knows that women are awful. Why are you saying these horribly sexist? I've got to say, it's a pretty good question. Say one of the two previous options, or just say option, which I refuse to read out loud because that is awful. Sometimes I wonder why I give you these choices. Me too! Okay, you say that, but you at least clarify that you think women just pretend to be dumb to get sex, and they're so great. You accuse all women of being unfaithful. There should be no more marriages because they necessarily involve women, and women are awful. There's actually a couple of things wrong with that, actually. Anyway, people who are already married can stay married, you guess, except for one very special couple in particular. You look at her to see if she's getting what you're hinting at. She looks super angry, actually. I don't think you're gonna pull this off, dude. This whole conversation is an unmitigated fiasco, and if she was just pretending to be mad before, she's seriously furious now. Congratulations, Hamlet! You just broke up with your girlfriend because you were pretending to be insane and trying to talk in a stupid secret code. You really can't blame her. You really can't say you blame her. All you have now is your plan to trap Claudius with a Choose-Your-Own-Path adventure book. So you go home, rest, and tomorrow that's exactly what you do. Try to trap Claudius with the book. First thing in the morning, you show up to the royal court. You look out at the assembled... I've always wondered about that phrase. That seems like it maybe shouldn't be pronounced that way. I genuinely find it difficult to believe that anyone is following this, but there's one other person. Ace, is that you? You're in big class, though. Anyway, moving on. You look out at the assembled courtiers and see that everyone's stepdad, Polonius, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern, a bunch of people you've never met, Ophelia, the whole gang! You're still looking around when Horatio comes up behind you back in an expertly executed maneuver. Bro times, he says. How's it going, bro times? Good, you say. Listen, can you do me a favor? You're going to be watching Claudius closely, but ask if you can maybe keep an eye on him too as he reads. You're, really good at that stuff, you say, wishing that there was somehow about that. He agrees that he's pretty great at stuff, and consents to do some of that watching stuff for you. Alright, there's nothing left to do, Hamlet. It's go time. Hey, Claudius, you say, brandishing your signed copy of Gonzago. Why don't you read this book today? I certainly don't, he says, and you pass him the book. Now all that's left is to decide where to sit. You can either sit at Ophelia's, lay in her lap in the sexy sense, and remind her that she has genitals. Or stand behind the king so you can see what choices he makes as he reads, and thereby figure out if he's guilty or not. Still acting crazy, and there's a skull beside it, so we're doing the weird thing. You know what? No. Just no. When you write your own book, you can fill it with all the let's have sex from women of different parts of the men jokes you want. But this is my book, and I'm unilaterally deciding right now that you don't get to do this. Instead, you decide to go behind your step. How's that taste? Does it taste like compromise? Because it shouldn't. It should taste like falling in line. Thank you. Thank you for that. Your stepdad. You walk around behind the throne so you can look over his shoulder as he reads. You figure that helps you, your whole act crazy thing, to be crazy to not know how annoying that is. You're now Claudius, King of Denmark. Your nephew is standing behind you being really annoying. Hamlet has just given you a book to read. Good, actually. And it's perfect timing because one of the royal court's favorite activities is to listen to you read a book out loud, because it's history times and there are no computers yet. You clear your throat and hold up the book so that everyone in the audience can see. Let us begin, you say, bringing the book down and reading the cover. This story is called The Murder of Gonzago, an adventure is being chosen by you story. The title goes on for a while after that, but my first choice is going to be to skip to the first page, you say. There's a smattering of polite laughter. What now? Read the first page. And now, look, it's a totally different book. The Murder of Gonzago. Choose from over 300 possible endings. We found artwork, guys! Book within a book. We're getting achievements. You are Battlelord Pete, or as you prefer to be called, Dragon Master 3000, since you are the master of 3,000 dragons. You are amazing, because of all trauma. Plus you wear the armor of a skeleton warrior, and you wield a battle axe that has the Latin phrase, facta non verba, written on it. In blood. You know what that means? That means deeds, not words. Apparently it's skeleton blood. Holy crap, this book is already awesome. Feeling a little jealous lately because your brother, Gonzago, gets to be king, and it occurs to you maybe if you killed him and married his wife, you could be king instead. Maybe you should just go slay some skeleton warriors. Well, obviously, since we are Claudius, the correct choice for the plot is you choose the go kill your brother option. Behind you, Hamlet seems to get interested in your choices. Wait a second. Remind yourself that you did your brother. So maybe reliving the murder in front of the court through the medium of high literature is not the greatest idea. On the other hand, it depends. So we could say, oh wait, I meant to choose the skeleton thing and turn to that page instead. Or go onward to adventure and also murder. And because nobody except Ophelia in this has ever been intelligent, and Ophelia in this has also been incredibly unintelligent, we're gonna go onward toward adventure and murder. You announce that you really did intend to choose this option. Behind you, Hamlet whispers to himself, "Man, I knew it." You read out loud the text on the page. You find your brother, Gonzago, sleeping in a garden. Gardens are really super boring, so it makes sense that he falls asleep. You hear the audience murmur in agreement. Sneaking up on your brother, sleeping on his side, you have some poison in your pocket. Do you hold his nose and pour the poison into his mouth? Pour the poison into his ear? Or realize that murder is terrible, leave skeletons instead? They're basically already dead. If you're trying not to get caught, I really think you should go kill some skeletons. What do? The ear or kill skeletons? Well, we're Claudius, so poison goes in the ear. You turn to the appropriate page. You pour the poison into his literally the perfect crime. Like all sleeping people, your brother doesn't wake up when cold liquids are poured directly into his ear hole, so this whole thing goes surprisingly well. Who knew that the ears really were the best place to introduce poison into the body? You and I did, obviously. So I guess any medical doctors in the audience who are about to say study human bodies for 6 years at the university level can straight up go suck a lemon. Your bro is dead. Congratulations, poison really do work that quickly to life. Perhaps you'd like to assume your brother's throne now as well? Behind you, Hamlet whispers to himself, "Man, that's exactly what I suspected, and this confirmed my suspicions perfectly." Nice one, Claudius. Hamlet now believes you murdered his father. It seems you have two choices. You can throw the book down, yell that you hate it, and run out of the room. Or, since an innocent person would not actually react that way, you can just continue playing as if nothing's wrong, thereby not instantly confirming your guilt and instead allowing your choices to dance. What do? Let's run away instead of continue playing. You tear out of the room, throwing the book behind you, leaving Hamlet and your beloved Gertrude alone in front of a very confused crowd. Today's not going very well for you, huh? You run into your room in tears and lock the door behind you and throw your face into your pillow. Well, Claudius, there's no two ways about it. You globbed up big back there. I think you'd better be Hamlet for a while, huh? Let us be Hamlet. You are Hamlet. You just saw your stepfather confirm his guilt about killing your father because he read a book and chose the options that was in real life. He's definitely guilty. This is entirely reasonable. There is absolutely no other conceivable explanation for what you just saw. After Claudius tore out the room, and after she left, everyone else left too, leaving the room empty but for you, Ophelia, and the best character, Horatio. You see that? He totally chose the murder options and then he freaked out, you say, really excited. "Fine, that," says Horatio. "This means the spooky ghost was correct," you say. Ophelia looks at you for a moment and then opens her mouth to speak. Wait, hold on, I made a lot of crazy choices. Did you and Ophelia break up the last time you saw her? Yeah, man, we broke up. Actually, before we started reading that, Ophelia told me we were cool, so we're definitely cool. Not only did we not break up, it actually was Ophelia before Claudius started reading the book. Or to tell you the truth, not only did we break up to marry me and that I'm the handsomest man she ever did meet, she explained that if you looked up sexy in the dictionary, there'd be a picture of me with the caption, "We put this here because we knew that without ever having seen a hunky chunk of a man." Okay, since we weren't Ophelia, I assume we would have based on different choices as well, but we weren't Ophelia, so we broke up is correct. I'm sorry to hear it. I mean, it makes sense about your feelings, buddy. Okay, so you just said this means that the spooky ghost was correct. Ophelia has looked at you strangely, and now she's speaking. "A ghost?" she says. "You're crazy." And she looks at Horatio and says, "You're crazy too." And she looks at you again, sighs, and says, "I don't even know why I'm here." And leaves, shoving past Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in the doorway. Looks like you two are still broken up, which makes you sad. But on the plus side, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are totally awesome. Bros before woes. You're about to greet bros with a choice of high fives, slaps on the backs, or hugs all around when Guildenstern holds up his hand and speaks. "Your mom wants to see you," he says. "As you know, in this time period, if you win, you have to literally walk over to where they are and chat them up," which I can hardly believe. Anyway, she's lazy, so she wants you to walk to her instead. "Dude, she said she's astonished," Rosencrantz adds. "Astonished isn't real slang," you say. "Just trying it out," Rosencrantz says, and you high-five to linguistic experimentation. "Well, I'm off to see her," you say. Just then, Polonius enters the room and says, "Hey, your mother wants to see you." "I know, nobody wants you here, Polonius," you yell at him. God, I could just stab you through a curtain." Hey, that gives you an idea. What do? Go stab Polonius through a curtain? Which is what you wanted to do in the first place. Or go talk to your mom. Let's do that. On your way to pass by the church. You live in a very fancy castle. Were you aware of that? And who should be there engrossed in prayer but Claudius? I guess after he ran to his room, he decided to pray instead. He's such a wiener. Wait a minute. You could totally kill him in a church. How badass is that? Man, pretty badass. Let's kill Claudius in the church. No time for murders now. I've got a date with my... phrasing. Let's kill Claudius. You find Claudius engrossed in prayer, which is completely silent, so you have no idea what he's praying about. Probably he's feeling guilty about that murder he did, huh? The murder of your dad? Makes you so mad you want to commit the murder act on him? You unsheath your sword and raise it above your head. But wait, if he's praying right now, doesn't that mean that, according to the soul is pure with all its sins confessed? If you kill him, he'll die with his soul more pure than that of your father when he died. Hardly seems fair. Wait, is it still cool to murder a jerk if they're praying? Is there a page in the Bible on that or something? Better not kill him now at this perfect opportunity because it's reading to him after he dies. Or, haha, nice try, Claudius. Prayer doesn't work that way. What time is it? Oh wow, would you look at that? The day's barely started and it's already 6:15. Well, unfortunately, it's really important what happens to him after he dies. Okay, you walk away from the perfect chance for murder and go see your mom instead. I get it. You're afraid that if you kill Claudius, the book will end, and you don't want it to be over yet. I have nobody to blame but myself, I suppose. I wrote an adventure that was simply too awesome. Anyway, onward to adventure! To an adventure that is so awesome I hope it never ends, and this book becomes a prison for both of us. Or all of us, and since there's at least one other person present. Although, they might not still be there when the stream finally catches up to this point. What do? Talk to your mom. Hey mom, what's up? You say. She jumps back from the curtain she was just messing with. Moms, am I right? No. Okay, I'm going to interrupt the story here to tell you this isn't going to go well for you no matter what you do. I'm spinning around a chair so it's backwards and I'm sitting in it, straddling the back of the chair with my legs. You're about to have some real talk. You know how in the story you've been choosing the crazy options and doing the crazy stuff? Here's the thing. Sometimes people do that in real life with their own lives. I don't know why, but they do it and it happens. Just throwing this out here, but your mom has married her husband's brother murderer and literally served appetizers funeral at the wedding. This is an actual thing she, a queen of comfortable certainly afford more appetizers means, decided to do. I can't get my brain to wrap around that. She's not the best, and I've been minimizing her role in the story as much as possible in order to not embarrass her and give her some space. But you're talking to her now, and there's nothing to avoid it. Try to understand if she acts crazy. Okay, lecture over. I'm turning the chair back to its normal orientation. You don't have to rap about her feelings anymore. Hey Hamlet, Gertrude says. Listen, you were a dick when you messed up Claudius's reading earlier. I didn't mess up anything, you say. He's the one who read the murder. If anyone messed up, it's you, because you married Dad's brother, and that's messed up, Mom. I thought we were going to be nice to her? Your mom looks at you like she's time. What are you gonna do? Murder me? Are you gonna murder me? Your mom asks. Terrific. No, Mom, I'm not gonna murder you, you say, holding you in what you hope reads as a be cool motion. What would you even think? Why would you even think that? Oh, because I'm wearing a sword? Listen, all the prince's words. Help! She screams at the top of her lungs. A voice from behind the curtain says, what? Help, help! So your mom has a spy eavesdropping on this little conversation. Remember what I said before about giving her the benefit of the doubt? This is kind of the perfect chance to give her the benefit of the doubt. So, will you tell her later when she's less crazy and you can talk in private? Or you show her how non-murderous you can be by killing whoever's behind the curtain? Well, obviously we have to reassure not murderous by killing the spy. Definitely. I need to learn to stop giving you gag options because you keep taking them. Joke's on me, I guess. Anyway, you throw being nice to the woman who gave birth to you out the window and give the curtain the old stabby me do and kill whoever's behind it. Lo, I am slain. Says, though it kind of sounds like lol, I'm slain, which you think would have been funnier. But wait a second. The voice sounds like Polonius? What have you done? Screams your mother. Thinking quickly, you say, nothing as bad as killing a king and marrying his wife. What? I didn't murder anyone, she said. Okay, obviously, you say, but Claudius did, and then you married him. Besides, maybe I thought the guy behind the curtain was Claudius, and therefore I was doing a good deed? Was it a good deed to kill my husband? Asks your mom. Besides, didn't you see him praying on your way here? We both know he's in the church. He can't be in two places at once. You say. Away from the body, you start yelling at your mom, saying how great Dad was, how awful Claudius is, and how she traded the best dude ever for the worst dude ever in time. And finally, how she's pretty too old for love anyway. You say all these things to your own mother. You reduce her to tears. You made me feel horrible about my marriage, she says pitifully. It's awful and makes the bed all greasy, you reply. Wow. Suddenly a ghost appears. Twist! What now? Talk. It's the ghost of your dad, like from before. Didn't I ask you to kill Claudius, the ghost says? So far all you've done is watch someone else read a book and kill your girlfriend. It's complicated, you say? Who are you talking to? Asks Gertrude. Mom, I'm talking to the ghost of my dead dad, you yell. I talked to him before and then. I don't know why you can't see him now. I don't know what his deal is. Ah, geez, you're crazy. My son is bonkers, your mom says to herself, drying her tears. To be fair, you do look a little crazy. Ghost Dad reminds you that you're supposed to be murdering Claudius, not Polonius. And he doesn't really see how cussing out his widow is helping any. Nice to her, he says. Also, I'm pretty sure she's conflicted about this whole marriage to my brother thing that I guess is going on, so maybe you could talk to her about that? But Dad, you say. Hamlet, he says, frowning as he disappears. Fine, you say. Hey, Mom, go and listen, stop having sex with Claudius, okay? She slaps you across the face. Maybe this is why people don't usually discuss sex lives with their moms. Okay, I need a drink of water. Hold on. One moment. Oh, that's a lot of reading out loud. Okay, let's see where the stream is. Before the whole Choose-Your-Own-Adventure book section, so that's fun. Okay. Let's continue. Mom, I'm not really crazy, but don't tell anyone, okay? You say, gingerly touching your face where she hit you. What is crazy is what you've been doing. This marriage to your husband, gross. We all think it's gross. I know you're not happy about it. I know that, Mom. Hamlet, she begins, but you cut her off. It's not too late, Mom. It can't be good. Maybe tonight you can just pretend to be good, and then keep pretending to be good night after night, and it'll get easier? And by pretend to be good, I mean make yourself unobvious sexually and emotionally. Your mom's crying again, but quietly she looks up at you. Alright, she says, alright. I'm proud of you, Mom, you say. Listen, I've got to go to Polonius by accident, and I'm gonna go lay low for a while. Okay, she says. Toodles. Totally normal reaction. What now? Tell her it would be very unfortunate if she told Claudius you're just fake and crazy, and as a consequence of that, had an accident. Or on second thought, leave without saying that, because that's creepy and weird. You finish up this tender moment by threatening the woman who gave birth. Oh, Hamlet, what are we gonna do with you, Hamlet? On your way out the door, you bump into your bros, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. I hear you say, and they can see it, they would like to party on a boat. You know what? That sounds nice. Sort of give everyone space around. Give everyone space, you know. Around on a positively buoyant vessel. Sounds real nice. There's a boat headed for England in just a few hours, you say. You know this because boats to England are kind of a bit. You send some servants to clean up crazy old dead Polonius, and another to be there for your mother. And you pack your bags. A few hours later, you partying on a boat. And you got confetti. Party music. Party boat! We get the achievement for a party boat. Oh, you forgot to tell Ophelia about her dad. Well, I can't get off this party boat now. Even if you broke up recently, you should at least console Ophelia over her loss, especially since you were kind of involved in his totally accidental death. But instead you're running away. I'm calling it you're the worst boyfriend and or ex-boyfriend ever. But you're on this boat, and it's set sail for England, so there's not much you can do. Try to park again given the circumstances. As the boat sails for England, you catch sight of a huge army sailing towards Poland. There has to be an very poor on board. I'm serious. There's got to be 20,000 people all crammed onto a single ship. The ship is too far away from you to communicate by talking or even shouting, but luckily you brought semaphore flags and are fully trained in their use, because that's normal. And as you know, by holding up the two colored flags in different positions, you can spell out letters of the alphabet. And in response, folks on the other ship can send messages back to you. Let me scoop my chin. Totally not obnoxious sounds at all. Okay. Proceed with the story, please. Hey, Hamlet here. What's going on? You say in semaphore. Hey, Hamlet, by Prince Fortinbras from Norway. He's kind of a rough equivalent of you, come to think of it. Anyway, he's on board, and we're all going to fight over some really terrible land that sucks, the signed reply. Really? You signal. Yeah, it's totally sucky land, but what are you gonna do? Fighter's gonna fight, he signals, and we're Okay, thanks, you reply in the flag talk. Wow, Fortinbras and his army are ready to fight over something entirely useless, and the Polish are willing to defend it, too. These people will fight and kill over nothing. You can't even kill your uncle, even though you have totally valid reasons. Whoa, dude, hold up. You start to feel tired. Be inspired in free wrists, kicking it old school, or be inspired in rhyming couplet. Couplet has the same rhyme. Let's go old school. We literally have to choose these options, but I'm going to pretend to have chosen them of my own volition when they're one horrible and awful. You clear your throat and hold out a hand in front of you. I'm noticing a pattern. Here's what you say. Witness this armed mass in charge, led by a delicate and tender prince. Whose spirit with divine ambition puffed makes mouths the invisible, opposing what is mortal and unsure to all that fortune, death, and danger dare. Even for an eggshell, rightly to be great is not a great argument, but greatly to find quarrel in a straw. When honor's at the stake, how stand I then, that have a mother stained, excitements of my reason and my blood, and let all sleep, while to my shame I see the imminent death of 20,000 men, fantasy and trick of fame, go to their graves like beds, fight for a plot whereon the numbers cannot try the cause, which is not tomb enough and continent to hide the slain. Oh, from this time forth my thoughts be bloody or be nothing worth. Not bad, not bad. Rosencrantz seemed polite enough to pretend not to hear. You're so great. Continue partying on a boat. I forgot how long this is. How long have we been at this? I genuinely don't know. Partying on a boat is great, but it doesn't last forever. After several hours, the party winds down and everyone starts going to bed. You, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern stumble off to your court. Awesome dudes in one awesome room. One awesome party room? The next day, you wake up, still feeling the effects of the previous night's partying. You put on your shirt, feels different. Turns out it's Rosencrantz's shirt. Wow. As you pull it off, a letter falls out of the pocket. Rosencrantz wakes up, teases you for wearing it, and then notices the letter. Hey, Hamlet, you dropped something, he says. No, man, you say. It's your letter. This is your shirt. You pass him the garment. He has the shirt. My letter, bro, he says, pulling it over his head. Someone must have slipped it to me sometime yesterday. What's it say? Flipping it over, you notice it's got a royal seal on the back. Claudius, you say. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern say the following. What? Open the letter, or don't open it. Seal. Obviously, you open it. I'm gonna open it, you say. This is what you read. Dear King of England, it's me, Claudius, the King of Denmark. Listen, we get along pretty well, right? Both our countries are in pretty good shape. Anyway, it'd be really convenient to help both of our countries stay in good shape. If you could kill Hamlet for me real quick, it's not that big a deal. Just kill him, okay? Cool? Cool. 100% serious, please kill him right now. You and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern stared at each other for a long time. Looks like this whole time, while you were planning to kill Claudius, also planning to kill you. Dude, are you scoping this letter's choice assassination orders? Asked Rosencrantz. I told you, man. Claudius, Guildenstern yells. Maybe you hear my free verse from last night? You say. It was extremely tight. Seal of approval. Commit mail fraud. Figure out a plan. You and your bros come up with a plan. It goes as follows. You replace the letter with a forgery you wrote together that reads, "Hey King, can you make it so that Rosencrantz and get fancy houses and made princes and given all the cool things it is possible to have, as they are extremely awesome, but please do not mention this letter or its contents ever again to me, Claudius, the man who is right now. If you do see me, this letter comes up, then I claim I did not ask for these things, then I am lying. I like to pretend sometimes that I didn't write letters, and I can never take this back. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are awesome." Nice. Sick. Hamlet's rad too. Rosencrantz are way awesome though. You replace the official seal with a forgery. Since you're wearing a ring and it bears the royal seal, this is surprisingly easy. You decide that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are here while you catch the next boat back to Denmark to kill Claudius. You're at this stage in fulfilling the plan when pirates attack. Pirates? Holy cow, this book just got awesome! Thank you, you're too kind. Let me set the scene. You, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern rush above decks at the sound of the lookout yelling, "Pirates ho!" Following his arm pointing to the horizon, sailing directly towards you with alarming speed. Her disguise of a Danish flag being lowered as a black flag with a crossbones unfurls in its place. It's pretty badass. Behind her, a huge storm has gathered, lightning striking into the water. Both are headed straight toward you. It's a magnificent ship, a three-masted beauty running 50 meters long from bow to stern. She slices cleanly through the sea, with the wind filling her sails. 1,400 tons of boat, a symphony of wood, cloth, brass, and iron. She's as tall as she is long, with each of her masts proudly carrying 4 gargantular sails. Rigging of baffling complexity stretches between each mast, its crossbars, and the side of her hull. Hold on. She carries 26 cannons on her port side and 26 on her starboard, each loaded and at the ready, and she's running with her gun ports open. Also sails with 2 forward-facing cannons mounted on her... another squirrel. mounted on her bow, beneath which protrudes the beautifully carved figure of a mermaid. 50 strong and able men, all pirates, call her home. The painted and polished red wooden letters affixed to her hull betray her name, Gale. You, on the other hand, are on a party boat, the HDMS Vesselmania 4. Your boat is a mere 100 tons, her armament 6 cannons per side. Vesselmania's 2 smaller masts bear a single triangular sail each. Her crew of 20 is young. Her captain, with whom you've only had a passing acquaintance, seems fresh out of captain school, if that is even a thing. He's there at your side now, barking orders left men haul up the sails and run below decks to prepare the cannons. It is a scene of barely controlled chaos, and that's when you hear the first report of cannon fire. Both shots hit their target. The pirates are firing chain shot, 2 cannonballs tied together with aim, stuffed into a single cannon, designed to tear apart sails and rigging as they blast through it. The first shot tears apart some of the rigging on your forward sail, but luckily it's damaged. The second shot hits low, and instead of tearing into the sails, it decapitates the captain in an instant. His headless, bloody body drops at your feet. Pirates, this is so awesome. Yes, well, the bad news is around. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern take one look at the bloody corpse of the captain lying at your feet and rush below decks, tripping over each other on their way down the ladder. The first mate is staring at the captain's body. A huge burst of lightning flashes across the darkened sky, and rain begins to fall on Vesselmania's deck. Calypso's gale is gaining on you, and her forward cannons are being reloaded. The dew ships is decreasing by the second. Do we take command of the vessel, obviously, or follow your friends below decks close over? Which would probably be the saner option, but taking command of the vessel is way cooler. I'm assuming command of this vessel, you say, taking the hat off the captain on your own? The crew acquiesces easily. You're the oldest person on board, and you're also royalty. Lucky for you. Report, you order. Mainsail is undamaged. An adjunct rigging sail has been destroyed by cannon shot, but repair crews have been dispatched, replies your first mate. Hull integrity at 92%. We're sailing in a broad reach. You recall enough sailor talk to wind is at your back, but you're sailing at a slight angle to it. It's the safest way to travel, as traveling with the wind exactly at your back makes for a faster but less stable boat. You normally want to admit losing control. On the other hand, with pirates on your tail, maybe now isn't the time to worry about safety. What are your orders? Shouts the first mate of the sea. So, do we choose? We need all the speed we can get. Change our course so the wind is directly at our back. Continue at the controllable speed we're at now, or turn around and face the pirates head on. Put the wind at our back, you order. Your first mate says, "Aye, sir," and begins barking commands to the crew. Set sails will be running before the wind, boys. The crew adjusts the sails quickly, and you can feel it as the boat gains speed. You look behind you, expecting to see Calypso's gale fade from view. Quickly at your back, the pirate ship is still gaining. It wasn't enough. Calypso's gale fires again, and chain shot tears through Vesselmania's stern and exits through the port side of the hull, faintly above the waterline. Orders, Captain? You stare at Calypso's gale through a spyglass. The square shade of her rigging reminds you of something. What do? Continue with the wind at our back, turn around and face the pirate's head on, or try to remember everything you know about sailing before you answer. That's what I'm picking. The 3 masts, each of them 4 rectangular sails. Of course, you say. Pirate captain did what you would have done in this position. He's chosen the most favorable angle of attack. He's coming in back because that's when his boat is fastest. Those square-rigged sails are terrific at catching wind, and he has lots of them, but there are disadvantages that they can't be adjusted quickly. Which change requires the crew to climb up and change the rigging on each sail individually. You, on the other hand, can adjust your 2 triangular sails quickly, and it can be done at deck level. Ooh, come about in the storm while maintaining a slight angle away from it. You should be able to turn around, maintain speed, slip past Calypso's gale, and be long gone before she can even begin to... It's your only hope. You lower the spyglass, lock eyes with your first mate, and shout your orders from the roar of the storm. What do? Come about in the set sails windward, keep a close-hauled tack, or come about in the storm, set sails windward, keep a close-hauled tack, me hearties, yo-ho-ho? No. The sails are adjusted by your crew. As you turn toward the wind, the waves which had previously been traveling with you are now moving against you. Huge crescents splash over the deck. Hold on, men, you shout into the gale. Your ship heels over, almost capsizing with the intensity of the turn, but the sails keep just clear of the water and it's full. As she rights herself, you see Calypso's gale ahead of you, bearing down, still at speed. All you need to do is pass by her side and you'll be free. Steady, steady. Your ships approach each other, Vesselmania slipping by on the right. Looking at the crew of the pirate ship, you see them scrambling into the rigging, adjusting their sails as fast as they can. It shouldn't be enough. They're not trying to come about. They're not trying to sidle up parallel to fire their cannons. Instead, they've thrown the rudder hard to port, sending the ship into a tight. They're attempting to ram you, Hamlet. Hard to starboard, you scream, but there's not enough time. Calypso's gale tears into the side of your ship at full speed. You and the rest of the crew on deck as Vesselmania is cleaved almost in 2. You scramble your feet and see that she somehow managed to stay together, impaled on the much larger bow of Calypso's gale. But she's filling with water as we speak, Hamlet. She's filling with ham. Oh no! Sorry. I'm trying to read maybe faster than I should be. Where's the stream at? Oh, killing Polonius. That's fun. We're way ahead of that now. Looking up through the storm, you see the ropes being thrown over the edge of the pirate ship. Pirates are sliding down them, swords at ready, hoping to kill you and take whatever valuables they can find. Vesselmania finally capsizes. Given her current condition, they'd better be fast. You better be fast too, whatever it is you decide to do next. Order the crew to abandon ship, pirate vessel, or order the crew to abandon the ship and then go below decks to rescue Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Looks like we're just leaving our buddies to their death. Ship, all hands, abandon ship, you yell into the storm. The crew looks at you in shock, but there's not much they can do. You want us to jump into the ocean, someone yells? Jump into the ocean, you reply. You bite down on the blade of your sword and begin to climb one of the ropes leading up to the pirate ship. Some of your men nearby realize what you're doing and join in, climbing up. Partway up, you turn around and grasp your sword, shouting down to your remaining crew, I want you to jump into the fight! Your crew shouts in defiance at the pirates, charges to climb. Continue climbing! You and your crew scramble up the ropes. Partway up, an explosion rocks Vesselmania 4. You hold as the force of the explosion reaches you, shooting debris upward into the sky, taking your captain's hat with it and messing up your hair. Looking downward, you see the entire top deck of Vesselmania is feeling fires raging underneath. There's no way anyone could have survived. You hope Rosencrantz and Guildenstern made it above decks in time. But there's too much storm for you to make out below you clearly. Maybe they made it to the ropes? Yes, that's definitely what happened, or no man, they died. Unfortunately, we have to pick. Ah, nice try. Your friends have to choose their own adventure here. You don't get to make life or death choices for them. If you want to play my other book, God, the Adventurer, decide how each of billions of individual stories end. Fun at first, tedious soon after. So many lives are depressingly similar. Though, I hope Rosencrantz and Guildenstern survived. I think that probably counts for something. Suddenly, lightning strikes the water below. A huge roar of thunder deafens you, but in an instant the world is illuminated. You see your young crew of almost 20, both by count and by age, cutlasses at the ready, fighting as they climb. Pirates swarm down the lines, battling above them on deck. They're being cheered by a row of pirates. At the very bow of the ship, looking down with a spyglass, stands the captain. He's got a fancy hat on his shoulder, the works. He's staring right at you through the storm. The darkness of the storm is restored moments later. You grimly resume your climb. One way or another, you're going to end this. Continue climbing, attack pirates. You're halfway up when you meet your first pirate. You disadvantage. You can always slide down the rope to gain some distance, while he can only climb up, which takes more time. Oh, hold on. Ace might show up to actually run the chat instead of just kind of me glancing at it every now and then, so talk. You're about halfway on your feet, meet your first pirate, blah blah, you have the advantage. Before it comes to that, however, you brace your legs against the hull of Calypso's gate. Pirate approaches you, you push off with all your strength, sending you both into darkness, hanging in space out above the ocean. You were ready for this. The pirate wasn't. You wield your sword and sending it cleanly through the surprised pirate's butt. Sweet. You hear him scream as he falls, and then you hear a small splash as he hits the ocean. Look at the pirate already climbing down to take his place. The same trick isn't going to work twice, Hamlet. Climb higher, or for the pirate to slide lower. We're gonna be cool. One second. Pause, I'm a slow typist and I have to send Ace a message. Okay. I'm just gonna quickly just say oh in the chat and apologize for the lag. Okay, and now we're back to the game. Hey, you yell, big bad pirate, why don't you come down here and fight me? Reluctant, until you tell him that he's a disappointment to his family and how the grief and shame of having a child who grew up to work as a pirate, who became a pirate, seems so colossal and yet at the same time also so private and personal that they rarely speak of it even to each other. They live with this invisible wall between them, always preventing them from what they used to be, as they want to be again. And the subject of their son somehow always in mind but never broke. His parents, who used to tell each other everything, now go to bed in silence, and this pirate's actions, his choices, have created this thing, untouchable, unreal, and nevertheless inexorably drives his parents a little more into solitude each day. They've become strangers to each other. The pirate hollers in rage at your way sick diss sending down. That's awful, perceptive? Hamlet? When he's close, you haul and push, but the pirate is ready for it and holds on tight. What he's not ready for is the fact you pushed at an angle, sending you out into space and then back to the ship, further to the left of where you had been. Another rope, and in the same smooth action, reach up and send your sword through his rope, just above where he's holding. 1 second. Sorry about that. It's like related to the stream, so I should probably pay attention to it. And can you hear my voice has like slowly disintegrated from all of the reading out loud? Okay. You grab another rope, and in the same smooth action, reach up and send your sword through his rope, just above where he's holding. You men and rope fall, silhouetted by the burning deck of Vesselmania 4. They disappear into the flames. You're fired, you say. You manage to climb up before another pirate takes his place. You hope for your sake you've got another trick up your sleeve. Push out from the ship, use your legs as a battering ram inside through a porthole. That's a really good idea. Huh. Nicely done. You push out from the ship. Use your legs as a battering ram and smash your way inside through a portal. Looks like the stream's at the beginning of this section now, pre-pirates. You manage somehow to hit the deck, roll, and leap to your feet in one impressively smooth motion. Unfortunately, there's nobody around to see it, as everybody is above decks, and you've landed in the captain's quarters. Around you are the accoutrement of command. The ship's log, and yes! A much nicer sword, actually, than the one you started this journey with. You decide to take it. You are now wielding the fancy sword. You don't care that you lost your... It sucks now. You kick down the door. It has a handle, but things were just going that way. And take the ladder to the top deck. You push open the trap door and climb. In front of you is an epic battle. Your crew taking on 2, sometimes 3 pirates at a time. It's amazing. Each success seems to fuel them further. Each pirate bot only adding to their experience points. You can almost see them leveling up as you watch. It's like all their perks are being invested in battle techniques. Suddenly you feel colder. Turning around, you find yourself face to face with the pirate captain. You both raise your swords as you leap into your dueling stances. A pause, then you rush each other. You thrust and parry back and forth until a moment comes when your swords catch each other, and in that sudden silence you stare across your blades into each other's eyes. "Harry Farmer," he says. "How appropriate, you fight like an ow!" you say as he slices your arm, cutting you. It was superficial this time. He was definitely gonna say you fight like a cow. That is... wow. Okay, moving. The pirate captain gloats at drawing first blood, pointing to you and calling you a bunch of unkind names that I'm not going to say here, because I don't want you to throw down this book so you can try this pirate in real life. Just take my word for it, the things he says about you are that bad. Plus, on the plus side, while he gloats, there's an opening. You should attack. Attack the hand he's pointing at you with, attack the face he's laughing at you with, or attack the shoulders he's giving structure to his stupid upper body with. Let's go. Drop to one knee and put all your effort into sending your sword upward at his outstretched hand. You manage to cleave it from his wrist in a single slice. Ace is here. The momentum from the blow carries his hand up into the air, and you watch, shocked, you in surprise at how good this awesome sword is. I'm gonna confirm with Ace. That the stream's actually behind. Okay. Let me just wait for that response. As his detached hand describes an arc directly toward it, hits your chest with a bloody splat. You brush his hand off your jacket and say, "Hey, I never knew this would like to cut off a limb before. I finally got some first-hand experience. By the way, this was my first sword fight at sea, so thanks for giving me a hand. Hey, hands off the threats and experience, of course." The pirate captain screams in rage, charging you with his sword. You deftly parry and sidestep, ending up behind him, with each other. Flurries of swordplay erupting whenever one of you detects an opportunity. Despite his injury, neither of you is able to gain the advantage on the rain-soaked deck of the ship. He strikes the brass rail behind the pirate captain, and he's briefly stunned by the tremendous thunder that follows. You're stunned as well, but being a few feet away, you recover more quickly. As your opening Hamlet, attack his dominant sword-bearing arm, or his eyes, or his legs. We're gonna go with the arm. You swing your sword sideways as hard as making contact with his left elbow at full speed. Your sword slices through the flesh easily. Okay, explain to Ace that we need to describe literally exactly what's happening. You swing your sword sideways as hard as you can, making contact with his left elbow at full speed. Your sword slices through the flesh easily. He strikes you with his other arm, but a second later you've cut that one off at the elbow too. You both look down at his now useless arms, lying on the deck, one hand still clutching his sword. But a flesh wound? Okay, so the string at least a little bit, I think. Okay. The perfect thing to dead to mind. The words crystallizing in your head, like they were written for you by the very gods themselves. Is it all hands on deck? I'll be the best one. Hey, who here thinks I'm winning this fight? Can I maybe get a show of hands? Or, oh, looks like you're not as well armed as you thought. All hands on deck. The pirate livid. He's lost some very important body parts, but he's not going to stop. 'Tis but a flesh wound. He's out of control with rage and will fight you right to the end. Just to move no fight. So yeah, it is just as far behind as I think it is. So this is going to be interesting. He's out of control, will fight you right to the end. You can't let your guard down. He'll take you apart with his teeth if you let him. It's time to finish this, Hamlet. Deliver the killing blow. The captain tries to spit in your face, right in the chest, piercing a lung. He gasps and swears at you. So I'm just gonna let Ace know that I'm actually quite a ways as that. That's what was afraid of. Oh well. Here we go. He gasps and swears at you. Save your breath, you say. Nice. You take a step back and slice off the captain's chin, sending it flying into the rigging. Come on, he yells, slicing again in his face. You cut off the tip of his nose and it flies overboard. This is dramatic. You know what they say, you say grimly, taking your sword in both hands. Follow your nose. Strike, you behead the captain. You behead the pirate captain. His head rolls at your feet and you kick it overboard into the ocean. Let me just say, holy crap. Never in your life have you fought so well. This was awesome. Literally awesome. If you lived to be 1,000 years old, you would never have a fight go so amazingly well as it did today. You're catching your voice when you're catching your breath when you hear familiar voices yell, Hamlet! Turning around, you see Rosencrantz and Guildenstern rushing toward you. They survived. They did more than survive the battle. Like you, they thrived in it. All around them lie the bodies of pirates, and your crew dispatches the last few survivors. Calypso's gale is yours. And the storm surrounding her is clearing as quickly as it appeared in the first place. The sun pierces through the cloud. Wow, I can totally talk and read. You and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern hug each other and your crew cheers. Pulling back, Guildenstern no jacket, and then the headless torso on the floor. What happened to the captain? Asked Guildenstern. I don't know, you say. Last I saw, he was headed... Oh, says Rosencrantz. Does that mean you cut off his head and then threw it overboard? Let's just say that when he fought me, he got in a little over his head. Oh, his head and then threw it overboard, says Rosencrantz. What do? Take command of this larger, much nicer vessel. You do that, and Krantz and Guildenstern your first officers. Congratulations, Captain Hamlet. Calypso's gale is yours to command. Heh. Your crew demands a speech, cheering and hollering at you. Stepping up onto the highest part of Calypso's bridge, you decide to give them what they want. You look in front of you and ask for silence. They quiet, and in the moment before you speak, the only noise you hear is the sound of waves gently splashing on the hull beneath you. A peaceful. It's a perfect moment. You look at your crew and they at you. Once again. People often speak of the machinery of fate, you say, as though the course of our lives is governed by such unknowable clockwork. Well, if fate be a machine, today she was a machine that transformed us all into an unstoppable force. Your crew cheers wildly. Gods even! Your crew cheers even louder. Yes, you say. Today, we truly were God's sheep. Deus ex machina. Your crew resumes their duties. This was a really amazing part of your adventure, Hamlet. You're sure that should you ever one day write a book about this story, or perhaps a stage production, you'd include this scene. Now, for those of you who don't know about Hamlet, or like have just heard about it, but maybe haven't heard in depth about it, this pirate scene does happen, but it is not performed, and it is completely glossed over. It's just how Rosencrantz and Guildenstern die. That's the whole of it. So that's fun. Why, you'd have to be literally write a story where you journey to England, get attacked by pirates, actual pirates, and then just sum up that whole adventure in a single sentence. Be the worst. Who puts a pirate attack scene in their story and doesn't show it to the audience? Hopefully nobody, that's who. Even from a purely structural viewpoint, to give the audience something awesome to make up for all that introspection you've been doing, that just seems pretty obvious is all. Anyway, enough crazy hypotheticals. To where will you sail? Sail to England? This party is just getting started. Sail back to Denmark to revenge yourself on Glottic. Or become pirates. The sail's already flying, it'll be easy. Let's go back to Denmark. I say as if I'm making my own decision. While sailing to Denmark, you and Rosencrantz come up with a plan. Clearly, King Claudius wants you dead, but he isn't willing to move overtly, hence the letter he planted on your friends. Heck, even the been orchestrated by him. It's impossible to know who he's gotten to while you've been gone. You can't trust anyone. You decide to attack Claudius' head off Horaceo's gale, or attack Claudius more discreetly, lest a frontal attack from a pirate ship disturb the people of Denmark and weaken your right to rule. Got one? Rather than sailing into shore and attacking the king head-on, you decide not to tip your hand. This is the plan you come up with. You'll approach Denmark at night, flying Danish flags. Calypso's gale will stay out from shore, looking like any other trader, but will remain ready to move on your signal. Rosencrantz... Okay, here we go. You'll leave Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, dive overboard into the ocean, and swim to shore. Once there, you'll compose and send 3 letters to Horatio by messenger. The first will be addressed to Claudius and read, "From England all by myself. Surprised? You will be tomorrow when I see you. P.S. I am naked." Hopefully you'll be able to scare/confuse him into some rash overt action which you'll be able to counter with Calypso's help. The second goes to your mother and reads, "Hey Mom, I'm still mad at you for marrying Claudius, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna kill him. So try to act surprised." The third and find Horatio, best character, and says, "Hey Horatio, crazy story. Pirates attacked, and they took me hostage, but just me, and then they brought me back to Denmark because I said I'd do the favor. But can you make sure these other 2 letters reach Mom and Uncle Dad? Then come see me real quick, okay? I'll be down by the docks." That should be enough to ensure your letters are delivered, and to see if Claudius has gotten to Horatio while you were away. If he hasn't, Horatio can help you take down Claudius. If he has, deal with Horatio the same way you dealt with the pirates, with your swords and your wits, both deadly and sharp and insanely pointed. Both deadly sharp and insanely pointed. Okay, hold on. I need like a second for a deep breath, and I'm just going to take a moment to look at the chat, because what remains here is conversation between me and Ace. I've read the GD book, also the original play, which you are following the plot of. Set sail, still gaining, I refresh. When potatoes have babies, what are they called? What? Also, that's still way far back. But I know. Rosencrantz agreed to your plan. You arrive near Denmark's shore in the middle of the night. The way is silver with reflected moonlight. "Good luck, my friends," you tell Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. And to you, you've both grown so much this trip. It's been so great. You've never felt closer to these awesome dudes. You dive into the sea and swim for shore. Reach shore and send letters. You send your letters. You have time before the messenger will deliver them, so you wander down to the docks. You get the attention who looks like she works here. "Excuse me, what's that ship over there?" you say, pointing as casually as you can at your insanely majestic ship. "That's, Calypso's gale. Looks like a Danish trader. I imagine she'll be docking in a few hours," she says. "Oh, neat," you say. "Everything's to plan." You wave to the ship, just in case Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are watching, and wander around, waiting for Horatio to show up. You eat some fried fish. Suddenly, you feel a tap on your shoulder. Looking around, you see your old friend Horatio. "Hamlet, you're back," he says, hugging you. "Letters, you ask?" "Yep. So what's your story? Pirates attacked and only took you hostage, and then they brought you back here for no reason? Haha, that's so crazy. That's really what happened?" Do you trust Horatio? If you do, you'll let him in on the full story. If you don't, you'll let him think that only you made it back from the trip. Well, I mean, if I were choosing for myself, I would trust Horatio because Horatio's awesome. But I have to pick this. But the options are trust Horatio, no way he'd side with my murderous stepdad over me. We saw ghosts together. You just don't turn away from that. Pick trust no one. Yes, that is exactly what happened, you say. What about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, he asks. They, died, you say, to murder me, and he got them to carry a letter telling the English king to kill me. Yes, that's it. So I secretly replaced that with a note with a forgery that told them to Guildenstern instead. They're dead now, because, as I said in my letter, the pirates left after they captured me. Yes, everything fits together nicely. It's a good lie, close to the truth to keep straight. Whoa, Horatio says. Bro, that's cold. What did Rosencrantz and Guildenstern do to deserve that? Yes, that is a reasonable question, and the reasonable answer to that is they carried the letter from Claudius on purpose, and they were allied with him all along, and I trust snakes? Huh, says Horatio. Oh, and I would totally kill anyone who was secretly working for my stepdad, you say, making significant eye contact. Huh, says Horatio perfectly neutrally. Darn those even-handed, non-committal responses that tell you nothing. You've been walking as you talk. You and Horatio find yourselves in the graveyard. You notice I've been slipping up more that I talk? It's because, like, I am losing coherence. Delete for like another 2 hours, so let's just keep this going. I don't know how long I've been doing this, probably around 2 hours. Tater tots. Okay, you've been walking as you talk, and you and Horatio find yourselves in the graveyard. It's close to the river everyone takes their drinking water from, which I guess why people act so crazy around here. Spoiler alert, water contamination. Spoiler alert, this is gross. There are 2 gravediggers here. Wait, hold up, one of them is leaving. Off to have his own adventures, no doubt. Do you ever think about that, Hamlet? About all the people you pass in the street, and how they're each the star of their own little narrative? How it's weird that people you'll never talk to are off having their own lives, building their own stories? And isn't it crazy that from their point of view, your character entirely forgettable? Well, it's true. And in this gravedigger story, you play the role of guy who just shows up and toots. Just guy who shows up and says, I leave. You toot, he leaves. The remaining gravedigger is singing. Do we listen or join in? We're gonna listen. Thank goodness. The gravedigger sings about being young and in love. He's singing while he digs a grave, you say. Yeah, says Horatio. His grave, so he's used to it. Whoa, you say. This whole thing is seriously blowing your mind. The gravedigger sings about, and the tune is pretty catchy actually. While he's busy digging this grave, he digs into a pre-existing grave. Remember that in our time period, it's not like that is especially full. And digs something up. He tosses it behind him. Hey, there's a skull here. Look, skull. You keep your distance from look at the skull intently. That skull had a tongue in it once, you say to Horatio. Yep, says Horatio. Had jowls, too, you say. Yeah, probably, says Horatio. Maybe it was a politician's skull. Ooh, or a courtier. Lord such a one or whoever. And look, that guy's throwing it around like it's not even a thing, you say. Lord such and such, you mean, sighs Horatio as the gravedigger. There are not 2 skulls here. This skull seems pretty interesting, too. You close your eyes and think very clearly. Look, other skull. Then you open your eyes, other skull intently. I'm not gonna lie, from this distance it definitely looks a lot like the first skull. I'm fascinated by it though. Maybe that other skull was a law, you say, nudging Horatio. Look at him now. Where's his impressive lawyer tricks now, huh? His fancy rhetoric for the judge and jury? He's dead. So why doesn't he sue this guy for assault after he dug up his skull with a shovel if he's such a fancy lawyer, you say? I'd have to say, it's probably because, says Horatio. I love how he says something like rational and reasonable in response to kind of these crazy things, and it shows a picture of Ophelia. Like I know randomized, but it cracks me up. 1 second. Well, you know what? If that's what you want to say, that's fine. Okay. Maybe it was all instead. Maybe he owned all this land and had all this complicated accounting for it. If one of those accounting rules was that is one of those empty skull now gets filled up with dirt, you say? Yes, I believe that's generally what happens when you die, says Horatio. You stare at him wildly, then back at the skull, then back to Horatio. Listen, Horatio says. Maybe you want to talk to the gravedigger for a while? I'm sure he'd find your viewpoint absolutely novel and riveting. So we'll talk to the gravedigger and you chat back and forth. Here's a snippet of the conversation you have. Whose grave is this, you say? It's mine, he says. I thought it was yours because you're the only one lying in it, you say. Really, Hamlet? He's not lying in it. He's standing in it, digging. And if you're going for a lying down, lying untruth pun, then I'm going to work. And you're lying out of it, so it's not yours, says the grave digger, super proud of his dumb wordplay. He goes on, actually, I'm not lying. It really is mine. But you are lying, you say before I can stop you, because you're in it and saying it's yours, but you're alive, and graves aren't for the living. Got you there. Riveting! This back and forth goes back and forth. Eventually it comes out that he's digging a grave for a young woman, and you are an uncouth brute. He's had this job before you even ask his name and he says he's been working as a gravedigger since the day Hamlet was born. Hey, that's you! What a crazy coincidence. You should probably say something. Tell the gravedigger you're Hamlet or play dumb. Thanks for playing dumb. You decide to play Hamlet? Who is Hamlet? You say, elbowing Horatio, who's standing beside you. Horatio rolls his eyes. Why the accent? Horatio sighs. A second ago. Hamlet is the prince who went to England because he was crazy, says the gravedigger. He'll get less crazy there, or he won't. But either way, everyone's crazy in England. Racism, says Horatio. How did the Prince Hamlet? How do you say crazy? You ask. Very strangely, he replies. Oh God, you two are going to go at it again, aren't you? Oh God, you are. How strangely, you ask. By losing his mind, he says. On what ground? Hey, stop setting him up. Why, right here in Denmark, he says. Listen, I'm cutting you off. The rest of your conversation is censored. But at some point, he gestures to one of the skulls you were looking at earlier and volunteers that's the skull of Yorick, once the gesture of the king, now dead and buried 23 years. I poured a flagon on my head once, said the gravedigger. Check this out. You're really interested in hearing about either one of those things. Yorick. Well, obviously Yorick. This is the one thing I remembered about Hamlet. Wow. This is the one thing I remembered about him before I got old enough that it was covered in school. It's like I knew that Alas Poor Yorick was in there, and I said because everyone expected me to know to be or not to be, but I didn't know that was Hamlet. So anyway, you pick up the skull and hold it out in front of you. You inspired. Alas, poor Yorick, you say. I knew him, Horatio, a fellow of infinite most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now, how abhorred in my imagination it is, my gorge rises at it. Here I have kissed, I know not how oft. Okay. Where be your jibes now, your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment that were the table on a roar? Not one now to mock your own grinning, quite chapfallen? How get you to my lady's chamber and tell her, let her pick to this favor she must come. Make her laugh at that. I'm feeling something off. Maybe it's the fact that it's a Hamlet speech, and Hamlet's a little unhinged. What my friend means to say is that he remembers Yorick and the fun times they shared, but now looking at his gross remains makes him want to drop a barf. Ah, says the gravedigger. And then he asks the dead, lifeless skull what and songs are, and tells the skull to go to his girlfriend's room and tell her that no matter how much makeup she puts on, she'll end up like Horatio says, which reminds me a lot of that one Animaniacs bit where they translated this speech into layman's terms. Well, not exactly like him, said the gravedigger, as male and female skulls have several structural differences. You interrupt them both. Horatio, do you think Alexander the Great looked like buried? Yeah, probs, says Horatio. This skull is smelly, you say. Yeah, probs, says Horatio. Do you think it's weird that we live and be kings of the world, and then we die and return to the earth, and then someone might use that hole to make mud, and use that mud to fix a hole in a barrel? I mean that earth, not that hole. Who uses mud to fix a hole? Horatio begins, but you interrupt him. You can also use mud to patch a wall, you say. Suddenly, it sounds like screaming. Investigate noises or suddenly sit straight up in bed, fully awake. As fascinating as I'm sure that option is for noises. Oh. Hold on. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, we're good. You, Horatio, and the gravedigger investigate the noises and discovered they were caused by Gertrude, your mom. Claudius, your new dad, they murder. Laertes, Ophelia's brother, you haven't really hung out with him that much, actually. A priest. Priests are ordained ministers of the church. And coffins are what people get buried in. Dude, you should know this. It seems like Gertrude was screaming, wailing? Weird. Yobo, your friend, you say. Look how sucky that coffin is. Look how small the ceremony is. Must have been someone who killed themselves. You know what would be hilarious? If you stayed and watched. Listen, Hamlet, there's something you should know. Shh, you say. Look, that's Laertes, you say to the gravedigger. You pause and stare at him intently. Yeah, he's pretty rad, you say. Hamlet says, don't you wonder why Laertes is at a funeral? Maybe if he's here, it means someone who might be close to him. It might be someone who... means it might be someone close to him who died. I can't eavesdrop on people in their most private moments of grief if you keep trying to have a serious conversation about a life or death matter with me, you hiss at him. Turning your attention back to Laertes, you see him arguing with the priest, asking for more rights. More rights, he says. But the priest says he's done all the rights he should do already, and then, since this person committed suicide, called it, they don't get as many rights. If we do any more rights, we'll profane the blessed souls of the other people buried here, he says. And the gravedigger all wince and glance at the skull he's dug up. Whoops. Laertes continues to argue with the priest. Well, fine, then God jerk-a-rama priest, Laertes says. My sis will be an angel in heaven while you're burning in hell. They lower her body into the grave. Wow, he's really upset. Wait, Ophelia's dead? Ophelia's dead? Ophelia's dead? You say out loud, shocked. Oh, he's not friends with any of these people. I tried to tell you, Horatio says. I meant to tell you earlier, but you seemed so happy to be back, and I wasn't... Look, I'm sorry, Hamlet. After you left on your trip. Gertrude and Laertes and Claudius are still unaware that you're here. Gertrude throws flowers on her grave, saying that she'd always hoped Ophelia would marry you, be throwing flowers on her wedding bed. Geez, Gertrude. Inappropriate. That's not something for a new mother-in-law to do for newlyweds. Laertes curses 3 it was who robbed Ophelia of her sanity, and then curses them again 10 times 3 times for a total of 33 curses. Then he jumps into the grave so that he might hold her in his arms. Jeez, Laertes, that's like double inappropriate to the power of 3 for a total of 8 inappropriates. Okay, so they're all really upset, and the right thing to do here is to go home, approach them later, and say you saw them at the funeral, but didn't want to interrupt. Also, it'll give you a chance to deal with your grief too. Be feeling. You're feeling it, aren't you, Hamlet? She was your sweetie. You've come back from a trip to find her dead of apparent suicide. So do you go home and talk to everyone later? Step from the shadows and introduce yourself dramatically? Or be Ophelia? And I really want to pick be Ophelia. If I could sit through all of the terribly sexist things that Hamlet has said up to this point to stick with this narrative, I can stick with it for something that would be funny. You step out of the shadows of the graveyard, leaving Horatio and the gravedigger behind. Who's the man whose grief is so extreme, whose words make even the stars themselves stand still and wonder in sadness at what they hear? It's me, Hamlet the Dane. Wow, what am I good about you? Then you hop into the grave. Why not? Emotions are a competition, right? Laertes sees you and screams in rage. The devil take thy soul, he shouts, which, I mean, if you're gonna yell anything, is pretty much the classiest thing to yell at a time and place like this. And with that, you fight. That's right, you and Laertes fight in a graveyard, during a funeral, in an open grave, coffin of Ophelia at your feet. This is how you choose to live your life. Laertes punches you in the teeth, and you stagger back until you collide with the muddy grave wall. You raise your eyes up to Laertes, wiping blood from your mouth with the back of your hand. You glance down at your bloodied hand. That's a funny way to pray, you say, and looks at you. Here's how I do it. You jump at him, forcing your head into his chest as hard as you can. He falls backward, winded, gasping for air. You say, your left fist connecting with his cheek, who art in heaven, hear you... Isn't that the Lord's Prayer? I think I remember that from an old necklace ad where it was like a locket with the Lord's Prayer in it. And then when you close the locket, it would zoom in. It would like magnify parts and zoom in. It would magnify it so you could actually read parts of it. Here your right fist collides in a punishing blow with the jaw. Hallowed be thy... His arms shoot out and encircle your throat before you can react. And before you can react, he squeezes. Okay, 1 second. Deep breath here. Gotta focus. You see stars dance around the edge of your vision. You don't want to do it, but Laertes only squeezes tighter. Now why's that, Hamlet? He says, smirking, mock concern written on his face. You lock eyes with him. Dangerous inside of me, and you should be afraid of it, you say. I am. You shouldn't make me angry, Laertes. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Laughs at you, and you feel almost giddy. You can feel yourself losing control. You can feel yourself starting to want it. I won't tell you again, little man, you say, unsure if you're threatening him or pleading with him. It's off. Turn into a gamma-irradiated monster or continue being Hamlet? I guess we're gonna option. Rather than embracing the madness, you bring your hands up between Laertes' hands and bashing them outward, free your neck from his grasp. You're vaguely shouting your name as you punch Laertes over and over again, avoiding his own punches as best you can. You're both getting in some good hits. Jeez. Finally, Horatio and the jump down into the grave and hold the two of you apart. You're both trying to break free. What the heck is this about? Yells your mother. This is a funeral, and you're fighting in an open no reason. Mom, Laertes is saying he loved Ophelia more than I did, you say. I loved her more than 50 billion stupid old brothers. He is crazy, says Claudius. I'll eat a crocodile to prove how serious I am, you offer. I'm sorry for my crazy son. He usually calms down after a little while. Turning to Laertes, you say, listen, bro, why are you treating me like this? I've done nothing to deserve this. But Laertes stares at you, aghast, almost like he holds you responsible for Ophelia's death. Anyway, you say, Hamlet out. You leave. A little while later, Horatio catches up with you. Hey, sorry, Claudius made me leave too. What about the gravedigger? I think he's back to digging graves. He was supposed to be working the whole time we were there anyway. Ah, you say. What do you do? Talk to Horatio about your pirate trip again? About what just happened. Let's deflect! But you already told him about that. If you talk to him about it again, the story's just gonna be super repetitive. We're doing it. Okay, fine. Remembering that you haven't decided if you can trust him yet, you have a long conversation where you explain again, in detail. You elaborate it into a crazy story where you alone come across the letter by accident. You leave out all the awesome parts of the battle. Please excuse my crazy dog. The awesome parts of the pirate battle, a crime in itself. You tell... Charlie, chill. She doesn't chill. You tell him how you made it back, only you made it back alive and Guildenstern are dead. He's like, whoa, that just made me sad. And you say, no, bro, they got what they deserved. And he's all, whoa, bro, harsh. You definitely do not tell him how you've wanted us in the world waiting just outside Denmark Harbor for your signal. Alright, we're all brought up to speed with your cover story of how you escaped again, and Horatio has made the appropriate satisfied? Look, you can stop pretending. We all know you kind of lost the plot here and wanted to waste everyone's time when you got a refresher from me. But we're all out of options. Talk to Horatio about what just happened. Listen, I feel kind of bad about getting into that fight with Laertes, you say. And ruining Ophelia's funeral in tears? That too. You know, I'll be nice to him. He's grieving too, right? We're like two peas in a pod, only instead of peas, we're humans. And instead of being a pod, reef. Okay, says Horatio. I just really hate it when people try to grieve harder than I do, you exclaim, punching your fist into your palm. Okay. That must come up a lot, says Horatio. Anyway, meet me at the castle tomorrow morning, okay? You say. There's something going to go down, and I think you'll want to see. Okay, I will. Sweet. Well, see you later, you say. And then it's awkward because you're both still walking to the castle in the same exact. You walk in silence for a bit until you get the idea to stopping because the flower looks so interesting. And then Horatio will walk ahead and it won't be weird anymore. But then Horatio paces ahead. God. It proceeds like this, the two of you walking in fits and starts, one pausing to adjust his leggings or whatever, and the other deciding to wait, but only up 6 steps ahead. You guys, I don't know. When you finally get to bed, you go to sleep, and go to sleep sad. Ophelia's dead, remember? But also excited. You're going to explode Claudius. You're going to expose Claudius tomorrow, and you have back you up, remember? while you're sleeping, I sneak in and pour a potion of not grieving anymore because feelings are boring into your ear. That's how liquids enter the body most efficiently. This is one callback-filled scene, my friend. I might need to stop. And you wake up feeling not too emo, which is terrific, because it's towards a climax. And I don't want you missing out on it because you stay home being sad. Okay. It's tomorrow. Okay, it did just say the end. And technically I have like an hour before I have to actually stop. So we're just gonna stick with my greet the new day. This is it, Hamlet. This is the day you confront Claudius. You put your best confronting the king tights and your fancy king scabbard on. Ugh. Don't worry, I looked it up. It's a sheath for holding a sword. You and Horatio are walking when Osric shows up. Hey, I know this guy. He's a member of the royal court, and he's super manipulable. Here, I'll show you. Put your hat on, you say to Osric. Too hot today, he says. No man, it's cold with the winds from the north and a 30% chance of precipitation, you say. Oh yeah, it's cold, he says. And yet it's also super, say. Yes, it's quite hot out, he says. See? Okay, I need to apologize because I've been making fun of your choices this entire book. But all I did was have a pointless conversation with a dude who isn't even a real character in this story. I'm sorry, maybe this isn't as easy as it looks. So I'll tell you what Osric's here to say. He wants you to fence with Laertes, and he's gone ahead and made a bet. He thinks that in a dozen rounds, Laertes won't win by more than 3 hits. Oh, and he's put 6 horses on the line, 6 swords complete with 3 fancy carriages. He's wagering all this neat stuff. On the one hand, you're here to expose Claudius, not Laertes, and fighting will actually solve anything at all, and is entirely unrelated to avenging your father's death. Also, he's probably upset about, his sister and father dying, and what sword fighting him will accomplish in the helping him get past his grief department. On the other hand, well, no, actually, I can't think of a good reason why you should fight this guy. Did you hear that? I, the author of this story, who has imagined this entire realm wholesale and brought it to life inside my head, cannot conceive a single reason why you should fight Laertes. What do? Accept the sword fight invitation? Or decline the sword fight invitation? Okay, let's do this, you say. Why not, right? It's not like you've got anything else going on. That was sarcastic. Please, and then comes back immediately. King wants to know if you'll fight him now. He says, he's just in there. Oh, right, I forgot to mention. You're right outside the royal court, which is all fencing room. Anyway, messenger's got a message, right? You say that's fine, and Osric says okay and leaves. Horatio turns to you. Listen, man, I don't think you should do this. I think you're gonna win, Hamlet, he says. Sure I am, you say. I've been practicing fencing since the start of the story. When exactly were you practicing? Blatantly lie about your fencing skills. What? Says Horatio. And I'm saying what, too, because there have been 0 fencing scenes? Like, at all? Unless you count the pirate battle, but that was more sword fighting than fencing. There's a difference, our swordsmanship. But in the same way that poetry and essays are both writing, you realize that you were lying just now, and start to feel bad about your chances. Maybe I won't win after all. I suddenly feel a sense of foreboding that would perhaps trouble a woman. Ah, jeez, Hamlet. Ah, jeez. Talk about it. You sometimes say terrible things about women, and how sometimes in private moments of reflection you wonder what that says about you. Talk instead about the nature of free will. You talk about free will. Providence controls everything, even a sparrow's death, you say. If something's supposed to happen now, it will. If it's supposed to happen later, then all that matters is that we're prepared for it. Wait, says Horatio. If you subscribe to destiny as all world, where things happen whether they're supposed to, how does preparedness enter into it? If it's going to happen, it'll happen whether or not you're prepared. You say. To repeat what you just said about free will, read this page again. To talk about the sexist thing you said on the last page, choose this option instead. I'm done talking. Stand around and wave. Okay. You stand around for a bit. Suddenly Claudius enters, and your mom too, and Laertes. And a bunch of other people you don't know. It's like this plot is going to advance itself whether you want it to or not. Free will. Destiny. Preparedness. All the crazy stuff that Hamlet said. Claudius makes you and Laertes shake hands, and you apologize to Laertes while you do it. You explain that, as a victim of mental illness, you should not be held criminally responsible for your... And it's a very nice speech, except you're only faking being crazy. So all in all, it's sort of addictive on your part. You draw the analogy of firing an arrow over your house and accidentally hitting your brother, and it's not really your fault for injuring him. Laertes accepts your apology and is polite enough not to ask why you're recklessly firing arrows over your house in the first place. Still wants to fence you, though. What the heck? It's a pretty wide hallway and everyone's right here. Guess you're gonna fence right in this hallway. Why not, right? Osric offers you some swords. They're all pretty much the same, so whatever sword matter. Let's put the sword on the right. You and Laertes settle on the swords you like and face off against each other. As you begin, Claudius speaks. Let's make this a drinking game, he says. You say. If you make the first hit, then we'll both take a drink, okay, you say. But if Laertes hits you, and you only make the second hit, then we'll both take a drink too. Okay, you say. Oh, and if Laertes hits you twice, and so you only make the third hit, then we'll both take a drink. I'm not sure if I should be getting drunk during a fencing match, you say. I'll put a pearl in your drink. There's nothing that, Claudius says. Not really super thirsty either way, you say. Claudius stares at you. Can we fence now, you say? The fencing match begins. Laertes moves toward you. Go for his upper body. You know, the most defended part of him. You decide to attack his upper body, but maybe the lower body is better after all. You wouldn't be expecting it. You're about to change your mind and attack the lower body when you get hit in the back of the head with a piece of dirt. The audience is heckling you with dirt, which makes you attack his upper body after all. You jab and thrust towards Laertes' upper body. He deftly parries, blocking your every attack and returning them with attacks of his own, using your own momentum against you. This isn't as easy as it was on the pirate ship. It seems like Laertes really knows what he's doing. Every time it looks like you might make a hit, Claudius seems really excited and raises his glass. Wow, that is one thirsty usurper to the throne. Finally, a note without quite a bit of luck. You land a glancing blow on Laertes' left shoulder. Got you, you say. No, ref, you say. Am I the ref? Oh, I am? Yeah, that was a hit. Palpably so. Hooray, Claudius says. Let's drink, Hamlet. Come drink with me. We're sensing your drink. I'm in the middle of fencing here, Claudius, you say. Claudius looks crestfallen. He lowers the drink as the fencing match begins again. Body this time. You aim for his lower body and Laertes is totally unprepared for this and you totally score a hit right away. Nice. Got you, you say. Got me, Laertes says. Our son will win, says Claudius calmly. Hello, not your son, you shout in reply. Just then, your mom calls you and offers you a napkin to rub off your sweat because she thinks you're so fat that you're already sweating out of your forehead from just one little fight. Whoa, where'd that come from? Mom, you say, where'd that come from? Whatever, she says, and holds up the goblet Claudius poured for you. Look, I'm ironically drinking to your good health and fortune. Drink that, Claudius says. I drinks what I wants, your mom says, and then she does that, drinking what she wants. Ah, jeez, that's the poison cup. It's too late for... I'm just gonna pretend I did not hear him. Really? You're gonna pretend you didn't hear your stepdad, the one you're here to take revenge on, I remind you, when he says he just poisoned your mother? When they invented Choose-Your-Own-Path books, I'm pretty sure they were assuming you wouldn't choose to be insane, so thanks for proving them wrong, I guess. Okay, you ignore him, and since this is your adventure, everyone... Why not, right? You and Laertes continue your fight. At one point, Laertes says that what he's doing is almost against his conscience, which is a weird thing to say in a friendly, not fatal fight like this, but you ignore that too. Hooray, your ears are useless. You fight back and forth, and at one point your swords clash you, and there's a moment of silence as you both try to overpower the other. This is your chance to say something awesome. Bring it on. You try to say it as grimly and badassedly as possible, but as I pray you pass with your best violence. I am afeard you make a wanton of me. So, oh well? Pushing as hard as you can, you manage to force Laertes' sword aside, but in the fighting, he manages to cut you on your arm. Enraged, you break the rules of sword fighting just a bit. It's just a little and kick his hand, sending his sword flying. In response, he kicks at your hand, sending his sword flying to the exact same spot. You both scramble towards the swords, trying to rearm yourselves. Take the one on the right. Lord, while Laertes grabs the left. In a flurry of swordplay ensues. You cut Laertes on his leg, while at the same time Laertes cuts your leg. It is a perfect symmetry. Fortunately for you, it had poison on the tip. Life's full of surprises, huh? And this new surprise is that Laertes is now poisoned. Very soon, you're going to be responsible for an extremely public murder. Very too much, since it was Laertes' sword that was poison-tipped in the first place. That means you too are poisoned from that earlier cut. Hooray! Okay, just to stop quick. You still haven't killed Claudius. but you have managed to poison your one-time, now dead girlfriend's brother, get poisoned yourself, and allow poison too. So if you're wondering about your score right now, it's, I don't know, negative 55,000 kilo points. Gertrude collapses from the poison you ignored earlier. And feigning ignorance, you say, how's the queen? And Claudia says, she fainted because you guys are bleeding. And she says, no, I'm poisoned from the dice. We've been betrayed, you shout, and feigning ignorance, you shout, quick, lock the doors, let's find out who did it. Laertes, a man who is dying as we speak, is thus forced to spend his last few moments alive exteriorly and with no big words that your mother was poisoned by the king. He also explains to you that you've been poisoned too, but I already told you that. It's too bad too, because he said it all very nicely, all, Hamlet, thou art slain, no menace in the world can do thee good. Well, I was like, woo, 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 jokes, jokes, jokes. Note, I am... Anyway, this is your absolute last chance. You have a poisoned sword in your hand, and Claudius is sitting here in front of you. You will be dead in one turn. What do you do? Last chance, Hamlet. Kill Claudius. Finally, you are killing Claudius. Oh my god, finally. Oh my god. Okay, let's do this. You stab Claudius with a poison sword, but man, poison is slow, and you've already got it in your system. So then you pick up the poison goblet and force it down his throat, all the while calling him an incestuous, murderous goddamn... Wow. I mean, it's a little racist, at least partially self-racist too, so irony, but still, wow. It's a huge dose of... and he dies instantly. What's that? You didn't know poison worked that way? Well, that's weird because I'm pretty sure it just did. Meanwhile, as the poison starts to kill you, blames you for the deaths you've caused and asks you to forgive him of the same. And you do it. It's actually pretty classy. Then you call Horatio over. Horatio, you say, don't be crazy and chug poison too. Tell everyone my story so people know what really happened. You need to tell people. Okay, Horatio says, glancing at the surrounding crowd, which has already seen all this go down. Oh, and write it down when you do, so future generations will know, you say. Okay, says Horatio. Oh, and make it one of those Choose-Your-Own-Adventure dealies, you say. Oh, right, says Horatio. Suddenly you hear an army marching in. Osric runs in and says that Fortinbras is here, and marching on the capital with some English... Remember Fortinbras? He's that Norwegian crown prince whose father died and who decided right away to take action. He's almost like a parallel to you, only, better. Anyway, you're not going to survive long enough to talk to him. You're actually not going to survive long at all. It's time, Hamlet, to choose your last words to Horatio. Well, last words ever, really. So, are we going to say, oh, I die, Horatio. The potent poison quite overcrows my spirit. Not to live to hear the news from England, but I do prophesy the election lights on Fortinbras. He has my dying voice, so tell him with the occurrence more elicited. The rest is silence. Or, don't let it end like this. Tell them I said something. Or, Horatio, I should have trusted you sooner. Listen well, there's a ship called Calypso's Gale outside the harbor that can help you defeat Fortinbras. Her crew is brave and her captaincy is shared by Guildenstern. Go and tell them what happened. With my last breath, I ask you to do me one last solid. Save Denmark. And so we're doing this. Nicely said. I'll give you a few points for that. So, your final score, let's say, 675 points out of 1,000. That's a solid C+. You took a long time to kill Claudius, but you did do the pirate side quest, which is nice, because it was my mistake to put it so late in the story anyway. We'll open with it in the remastered edition. Thanks for playing! Good night, sweet prince, and flight of angels sing thee to thy rest. The end! Did it! I am getting a sore throat. Hey, look, art! I am not used to talking for that long. It's been like 3 hours. So by the time you guys get to this, it'll longer, right? Is that how time works? I don't know. I don't know if I close the stream, if it'll cut you guys off before you get to the end. So it's entirely possible that we may be stuck with the end of the stream being... To let it end this way? Congratulations, you have unlocked the secret ending. The thing is, you're still dead. You played as them, and there's no taking that back. But here's the secret. While you are dead, there's another you that exists outside this book. There's a you reading these words right now. Once yet, probably. There's a you who invested some time reading this, and there's a me who invested even more time writing it. And we're all in this together, and it's way too late. But we've come a long way, and I like you. I think we had fun. So here's your secret ending. It's the very last choice you ever get to make. Find yourself in a certain location in the universe, at least, for being where you are right now. You've just experienced the story of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. It was a fun diversion, but real life beckons. Here's your big choice. Now, you can either A, put down this book, or in this case, video game, and work every day to be the best darn person you can be at whatever it is you choose to do. B, surprise, there is no other choice. Go get him, Tiger. The end. Amazing things that you, the reader, might find outside. Avian dinosaurs. An army of ladies following trails. A vine clinging to a wall using its own glue. A grasshopper sunbathing. A safari below your feet. A big tree planted by a small forgetful squirrel. Drops of water that just fell from 2 kilometers above. A tiny forest on a rock. Evidence of farmers past. And avian dinosaurs kissing. Congratulations, you found a piece of artwork. Oh, here we go, the Hamlo-meter. What do we do? What ranking did we get, guys? To be. Top marks, guys. Okay, our stats this adventure. Bladed weapons poisoned, 2. Hype 1. Naps napped, 1. Poisons misused, 8! A whopping 8 misused poisons! Stab stab, 4. Puns dealt, 8. Stockings befouled, 1. 13 tasteless sexisms, great. 115 choices. You were twice, you were not once. Play any tennis. We did it, guys! So I'm gonna wrap this up here. Ooh, show me those credits. I'm gonna let the credits run while I do other things. Oh, I can't do that. Great. Well, go on anyway. This is the person who did Lumberjanes, by the way. Good graphic novel, check it out.